Alrighty, folks, welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host Mike from PA. We are live once again. How is everybody doing? Sorry about yesterday, but it is what it is. There was nothing I could do. I had no choice. It was simply the internet does not exist. That's it. So I went and took care of a bunch of errands instead. Wow. It was incredibly productive, but I missed a lot of fun. I see. We did indeed order our camera lens. I mean, if you saw the here, let me just give you a preview. This is a work in progress. I hope our artist doesn't mind me showing, but I'm going to have so many. You know what? Instead of showing the art that's in progress, I don't want to you know, when you're iterating something, you don't want people to post that publicly. So what I will show you is a new emote that we're working on in honor of Dan. Wild. So what are we talking about today? We've got ourselves the Canadian election. How do I describe the Canadian election? I think the Canadian election proves to me more than anything ever could that Canadians really should be annexed by the United States of America, and Trump's right on this one issue. If there's only one issue that I agree with Trump on, it is annex Canada immediately, because your political instincts are so bad. You legitimately should not even be allowed to exist. If you're after, I'm not saying that you should have voted for the Conservatives. I just want to make that very, very clear. It was incredibly funny to watch the Conservatives eat shit. But the only reason the Conservatives ate shit, and this is it, is because Trump was on the TV. That's it. You're already American at this point. You might as well just be like, have your population be counted among the empire that you really are oriented toward. Like, it's almost crazy that you want to be independent, because you're not. You just have no influence over the policies that are enacted on your life. And obviously they elected this, like, what is it, investment banker centrist liberal, and the NDP collapsed, of course. The Conservatives, you know, you have a liberal minority, which is like even worse of a political position than they were already in. All in all, I would say it was a political disaster. People celebrating it are completely insane. This is one of those situations where I am the best political commentator, and I say that without any ego. I'm not saying that because I'm like good at this. It's because I have this superpower. It's called seeing what actually is happening and then just saying that out loud without coping like a fucking child. Almost every other political commentator I watch is on cope 24/7. Are you guys mentally weak? Like, what's going on here? The Canadian politics are worse than ever. It's just like everybody's constantly cope. Everything they see, they're coming up with some fucking ego stroke explanation instead of what just happened. It's crazy. The lib cope is insane. So we're going to talk more about the, you know, and okay, now that I'm done with my anti-Canadian bit, the politics of Canada are an absolute disaster. You know, I guess they dodged a bad outcome for now. And Pierre lost his seat in a humiliating fashion, which is fucking hilarious. I mean, his name was Pierre, for fuck's sake. How are the Conservatives so bad at this? And honestly, it's
almost 8 years ago, I was elected the leader of this incredible party, this incredible movement.
It's about time. Who needs to go?
I've worked really hard to be worthy of this trust, to live up to the legacy of our movement. Hold on a sec, I guess.
Why the fuck are you drinking water in the middle of this speech? Honestly, I'm so glad he's like, listen, I'm not saying Jagmeet is bad or anything, but he's bad. I don't know what it is. You know, I'm not Canadian. I think the main problem with the NDP is that they basically try to act like they're Elizabeth Warren running her own party. And it's like, that's not a viable strategy. Elizabeth Warren is unpopular. You need to actually separate yourself from the liberals, you know, and they just don't do it. And so, like every other center-left party that, you know, enters a coalition with the centrist party, the center-left party is completely hollowed out. Yeah, I mean, you need to be the truth tellers. You need to be the people that are winning and providing some sort of benefit. And I think with Jagmeet, the main problem that you have in Canada is that he just doesn't have that. He just doesn't have that gravitas of a winner. The Canadian election is going to show what would have happened if Harris won 2024, as in a failure of Lib policy for 4 years that leads to more fascism. I don't know. Canada has a lot of advantages. He tried to combo with liberals too much and they kept biting him in the ass. Everyone kept telling the NDP that they need to be stronger, cooperate when necessary, but not capitulate. Yeah, he's a capitulator. That's why I call him Elizabeth Warren. He's Elizabeth Warren of Canada. And he failed.
Thank you. One more sec.
Oh my God, what a bitch. Shut the fuck up.
Tonight, I've been informed our party leader that I'll be stepping down as party leader as soon as an interim leader can be appointed. Now, I could not have done this incredible job without, here's a point, give me a second to break down a bit. I couldn't have done it without the incredible
He fought to get us free pharma and dental and succeeded, but no one knew it was due to him, and the libs got the credit.
Or my wife could have kidded.
They did it, though. They also did it. You know, that's the problem.
She has been my rock. She's been my foundation. For the past couple of years, I've been regretting that I didn't thank her on the night of the last election. So this is my opportunity to make up for it. She has literally been my rock. I couldn't have done this without her. She's backed me up and supported me.
It's a watered down means testing program. Don't you be proud of that? Yeah.
She has made so many sacrifices. She convinced me that she's enjoyed them all, but I don't know. But she's amazing. I'm just so thankful. Thanks for being on this journey. I'm gonna give you a hug. Hold on. Also, I might break down this part because, and Anhad and Dani, my daughters, remind me of the future. God damn it, that we are fighting for. That's just because I get emotional anytime I talk about my kids. I'm very sappy when it comes to my daughters, so I get a little emotional.
I think of him as like the ultimate millennial politician. He's the ultimate millennial politician, and I say that with complete insult. It's just a soft as baby shit. A little overly oriented toward, teacher's pet. Just no fight in them. Soy as fuck. It just, I don't know.
Good morning, Heather.
I'm betting you did. It's not just the vibes. It's also when I talk about being soy. What you really mean is the person is avoiding confrontation and conflict, and then they rationalize it later. This is something you see a lot with millennials and Gen Z, which is they avoid conflict and then they rationalize it later into a story about how that makes them the good person, right? And it's probably the thing that makes me dislike my generation and Gen Z the most is not only are they cowardly, they try to pretend like their cowardice is some sort of virtue. Oh, I'm not standing up to that person because actually, it's just, it is a standard millennial orientation in general. I got fucked, but I'm at the grown-ups table. Ask millennial politician, fuck these losers. Oh yeah, exactly right. That's exactly what I'm talking about. It's the people. And it is endemic online, especially among libs. It's just the people that are like, let's say, for example, I make some analysis about politics. The number one liberal response I'll get is, well, how would you do this? And then I answer, and then they go, well, that can't happen. Why? Well, because that's not gonna be politically plausible. And it's like, that's every single liberal ever. It is they don't even bother saying, well, what you're advocating for is bad idea, or it will result in bad outcomes. It is, I don't think it's politically plausible. That's just made up. Okay. Do you think Donald Trump got into office saying, and everybody was like, that sounds very politically plausible? No, he said some radical ass shit. People who were on the right liked it. They were super motivated. They came out to vote. People were pissed off against Biden. He goes into office. Now, the thing is, nothing he wants to do is actually good. So 70% of the country hates it because that's the people. 70% of this country hates right-wing policy. They just don't really understand that Republicans are right-wing. I know that's a crazy thing to say, but it is very true. People do not know what fucking things all mean. And this is when I'm talking about like right wing, what the Republicans are running on. They literally do not know. And it is, now that they're seeing it, now they're experiencing Trump's policies, they fucking hate it. That's actually a good sign. You shouldn't be mad at, I'm heartened by what's going on. They recognize that no one who wants progressive stuff has any political power. Political power changes overnight. What you see on your screen is precisely why our electoral system sucks. BQ and NDP got exactly the same popular vote. Look at the seat results. Well, yeah, I mean, it's because it's districts. It's geographic districts. The BQ vote is, personally, I think that this nationalist sub-block that Canada has is fucking insane. I just, the BQ constantly having seats, embarrassing. They're not really engaging with national politics now. It's like a mafia.
Didn't get a lot of sleep processing the result and what happened. So why don't we start there? How have you seen it, Philippe?
Well, it's very interesting when we break down the numbers this morning, Heather. Of course, we were projecting the most likely scenario as a short liberal majority, and they seem to be short of that mark this morning. And when we break it down by regions, we see how well the forecast did, except in parts of Ontario where the Conservatives overperformed. And especially, Heather, it's with the Conservatives who benefited from the collapse of the NDP in the province.
In Ontario. That's really interesting. Right. So was that what might have been happening, Philippe, that was going on that you didn't pick up in the polling?
Well, I would say this, when we look at the polls, and of course I will have a full breakdown soon because not all pollsters are created equal, but when we look at the Conservative result, around 41%, this matches the best polls for the Conservatives and it beats the average of polls. I had 39% for the Conservatives, they had 41, and that small little change was all concentrated in Ontario. When we look at the...
Let off talk, but I just got back from a few weeks traveling through Mexico. Mexico is the most beautiful culture, beautiful land. But the scars of their past and current problems are deep and easy to see. Yeah. I did, however, drive on a brand new freeway past a new water treatment plant, saw solar panel power being built, a brand new subway system in Guadalajara, and saw a brand new sewage lines being laid in the cities I visited. Yeah, it's called building infrastructure. Mexico has basically been exploited and drained and attacked by the United States for its entire existence. And the one time that the United States was not able to interfere with Mexico, they got invaded by France. So it's just crazy. It's just Mexico has been consistently fucked with, and it's so gratifying to see them finally have a political party that asserts Mexican sovereignty and focuses on development of Mexico for Mexicans, and who has a leader who openly calls out the domestic sycophants of the American empire and isolates them from political power. And it's just so gratifying to see the Mexican people unite behind that project. And it gives me hope, I have my problems with Morena and even Claudia, but it's not important when compared to the absolute level of successes. I'd have more faith in Canadian election results than U.S. election results at this moment. Who gives a shit? I mean, look at this fucking shithole. Why do you have a Green Party and NDP? What is the purpose of a Green Party and NDP? What the fuck are you even doing? It's how many pointless bullshit parties do you need? They're the same sack of worthlessness, by the way. Got to maximize the vote splitting.
the results in Atlantic Canada. The projections and polls were right on. In Quebec, they were
without NDP. We would had university. Okay, you gotta try again, dude. You gotta try again.
fantastically precise. I had 42 seats for the Liberals. They won 43.
Do you suppose a two-party system is best? Are you asking me this question in a serious fashion? Are you asking that question in a serious fashion? My belief is that the political system is best, that a person who agrees with me wins, and the people who don't agree with me lose. So whatever political system can help me achieve that end, that is the political system I endorse. So if like there were 50 different right-wing parties and they all got 1% of the vote, that's great.
And same thing in British Columbia. But it really is in Ontario, especially.
And I think one of the things is like, I think a lot of people, they don't recognize that conservatism as a politic has almost nothing going for it at all. Like there is pretty much nothing that the Conservative Party of Canada was running on that if implemented would increase human flourishing. At most, it's an orientation toward provincialism, toward xenophobia, toward a fear of change. I consider conservatism to be a political movement that serves a purpose in people's lives of denying their own mortality because they want things to be fixed in amber. But what they're really worried about is their own lives and becoming disoriented as things change. Right? It doesn't actually have a political program that can cognizably be said is going to do anything positive for anyone except the hyper rich. And here's the thing about conservative politics is if you vote for these conservatives and they implement their policies, it's actually bad for the rich in the long term. A perfect example of that is America right now, right? All these billionaires united to support Trump. And what's happening? He's wrecking their fucking bag. He's wrecking the economy more so than Bernie Sanders could ever have done. If Bernie Sanders had been elected and done the Green New Deal and raised taxes on billionaires, it wouldn't have caused the level of damage that Donald Trump has committed with the full support of conservatives, of conservative billionaires. It's almost like conservatism is anti-human. And honestly, you know, this is what makes me radical. Is liberals love sucking the dick of conservatives. That's actually their entire reason for existing. And I don't. And people are shocked by the fact that I don't respect anything in the conservative movement or conservative thought. All the insights of the conservative political sphere can be contained on a postcard. And it comes down to, and what actually is valuable is a kind of, what can be boiled down to conservatism is that there is a maximum pace of change that is sustainable under certain conditions. That's the main thing you should learn from conservatives. Is it's like you can change things, and it's best to change things fast, but you can't rip down, you know, the foundations that you're resting on without causing a lot of disruptions that could hurt people, right? If you want to rebuild the house, there's a lot of different ways. And the conservative impulse is, well, we got here with the systems that we have, so maybe we should just completely throw them out without understanding what we're removing, which is the only insight that conservatism has going for it. But it's not like that is some sort of deep thought. It's just look before you leap. Measure twice, cut once. Like that's basically the end of what could be usefully derived from the conservative movement.
I pointed to the Niagara region and also the York region just north of Toronto, where the Conservatives beat the expectations, and that stopped the Liberals from reaching the majority threshold, at least for now.
So that's really interesting because one of the questions, of course, is the Canadian voters' trust or distrust of polling, and in this particular case, we've seen that it's borne out. It was at the end of January we started to see the Conservative support, which had been so huge, begin to evaporate. And then toward the end of the campaign, there was the tightening in terms of Liberal Conservative support. And that was borne out in the end, wasn't it, Philippe?
Absolutely. No, there's no doubt about this. The tightening was modest. It's important to say it. So it may have been a lot of fluctuations in the numbers, but we see that the Conservatives close.
I'm sorry, chat, but look at this guy. Is this not the most Pierre-looking motherfucker who's ever Pierre'd? Also, this coverage sucks. Fuck this. Canada, you can't even do a good show of your own fucking elections. You suck. You fucking suck.
And what CBC News has just projected just a very short time ago, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has been defeated in the riding he held for 20 years. This is the riding of
This is so fucking funny, by the way. God, can you imagine how awesome it would be if, like, Nancy Pelosi just lost her seat?
Carleton. Liberal Bruce Fanjoy has won, and CBC News, there you see, has just projected a Liberal victory in Carleton. So let's look at the meaning of all of that, both for the party and for Pierre Poilievre's own political future.
Yeah, this is such a dramatic narrative.
I just love that there's 3 center-left parties that have basically no distinguishing characteristics in Canada. That's fucking awesome. More center-left parties. Have you guys considered setting up another center-left party?
You know, this is someone who had a commanding control over his party, a commanding lead in the public opinion polls, and now...
Green really ain't center-left. I agree with you that liberals aren't really center-left, but Americans lose your mind when you say the Democrats aren't center-left either. So I actually think the Democratic Party is more center-left than the Liberal Party. Most hot take of hot takes. And the only reason that is because the Democratic Party has this NDP grafted onto it. And unlike the NDP, the Democrats, you know, delude themselves into thinking that they are the policies of the NDP. Like, that's the thing that's very funny, is the Democratic Party is basically run by the most right-wing Democrat. And everybody who votes for the Democratic Party is coping, either has one of 2 things. They think that's good, and that's the people that are running the party, or you cope that, oh no, the person I like actually is left wing. It's just that damn it's just the damn rotating cast of villains. It's Elise Slotkin. And it's like, no, the Democratic Party is designed to produce Elise Slotkins, and that's the actual policies of the party. In the Bear Sprigwater riding, the Communist Party is leading the Greens in 4th place. Let's go.
Doesn't even have a seat in the House
Our liberals are closer to Bernie than Kamala. No, they're not.
of Commons. It wouldn't
You have a literal investment banker as a leader, dude. Like, are you like, Kamala Harris is better than the leader of the liberals. Like, you guys are in delusional mode. That's what I'm talking about with Canada. Like, honestly, you shouldn't even be your own country. Can we just get annexed? It's gonna happen anyway. I mean, it's actually happening. Like, you're gonna just do whatever Americans say. Might as well just get annexed.
have been unexpected, perhaps.
Would you say the same with Mexico? No, Mexico is its own unique culture and society, fully distinct from the United States. It's heavily intertwined with the United States, but its own distinct culture. It has its own distinct politics, much better than us. They have national pride. What do you guys have? I have to see your stupid fucking rat fuck Canadians talking about my politics and pretending to be American every fucking day. You want an example of what I'm talking about, you fucking Canadian scum? This is all a bit, by the way. Calm down. I'm just having some fun. This is what we have to deal with.
My name is Kate.
Hold on. Oh god, maybe they didn't save this on their oh fuck. Oh god damn it. Where's this stupid Shark Tank piece of shit? I don't know, it was like last week. If somebody could bring me that clip of that Shark Tank fucking Canadian talking about the American dream being lost. You guys know what I mean? Fuck. There's so many Canadians in American politics and they're all terrible right-wingers. And they all cosplay like they're American. I'm so tired of Canadians pretending to be American online and in media. Like, I think that should be illegal. Like, I think it should be illegal. I don't want to ban you guys from talking because I believe the Constitution applies to everybody who's in the US, even if they're not a citizen. But I think that if you're a Canadian talking about American politics, you have to wear a gigantic Canadian lapel pin. And it needs to say in the chyron, Canadian.
What makes America
that
so...
only success is not wealth? I mean, she came from very modest backgrounds. She was a waitress. I mean, I think that story, a lot of people would say that is the American dream. I think that is what...
She does not support capitalism.
No, well, I'm saying, I guess what I'm saying is, like, what if she's a democratic socialist, but that's that. But what if some Americans say the most important thing is not facilitating the rich getting richer? That is literally the message she's running on.
You just tainted the American dream with that statement.
Okay, thank you for the clip being 5 seconds long. Ugh. forcing you to watch this again because until we get the right clip, we're going to watch slightly longer clips.
Have to embody the American dream. That's their number one job. Our number one export is not technology or you know, the ambassador of America, the CEO, the president, they have to embody the American dream. That's their number one job. Our number one export is not technology or
Our number one export is not technology. Our
energy. It's the American dream. People come to America to achieve the American dream. She embodies the American nightmare. And so she
embodies the American nightmare. Notice how this dumb fuck doesn't say anything of value and it's just worthless rhetoric. He's a Canadian businessman. Who you saying our? Who you saying we? What do you mean the American dream? You're fucking Canadian. What the fuck are you talking about? This is what I'm talking this is what I am talking about. The bourgeoisie are an international class. They don't care about borders. They see borders as a way to manipulate you. Notice when he was talking about AOC, it was all claptrap. It wasn't like, well, her policy on Mama will result in this, according to Mama. It was just, she's the American. She doesn't believe a couple with him. Yeah, then she doesn't. I swear to fucking God that if you are a Canadian conservative in America, you should have to wear a gigantic Canadian flag pin or else you go to CCOT. Okay? Because I'm so tired of you Canadian scum coming down here and ruining our fucking country with your dog shit Canadian conservative politics and pretending to be American. I'm so tired of it. It never stops. It never stops. Like, you think this is rare? Oh, Larry Southern. Lauren, I can type. Like, look at this shit. Canadian! Lauren Southern, Canadian! It never stops. David From, Canadian. It never fucking stops. It's every single of the worst people you know online are fucking Canadian. Hey, Steven Crowder, Canadian again. Another fucking Canadian. I swear to God, Canadians should not, listen, I'm not a nationalist, but if you're an American Canadian or Canadian conservative, you should not be allowed to speak on our politics without wearing a gigantic flag pin of Canada and a chyron that says, this guy is Canadian, not American. Build the fucking northern wall. Oh, you think this is, it doesn't even end. Doesn't even end. Ted Cruz, that fake fuck, born in Calgary, Alberta. They never stop. They never stop. It never stops. You keep sending us all of your claptrap, shitty fucking scumbags. I'm sorry for flipping out. I'm just so tired of this. Lauren Southern, David From, Ted Cruz, Kevin O'Leary, Jordan Peterson. I mean, everyone knows that one. Jordan Peterson, you know, he doesn't pretend to be American as far as I know. It just never fucking stops. Guys, I already showed Steven Crowder. Like, you guys are telling me about people I just showed on the screen. Are you okay? All right, Canadian elections. What was I saying? Okay, let's keep going.
For him to even consider...
Gavin McGinnis! Oh my God, what a good point. Look at how many of these motherfucking pieces of fascist shit are Canadian. I think it has to do with some level of insecurity of being a cuck country where you are not capable of actually influencing America from Canada as a puppet country. As a rump country that only exists because it's more convenient for the U.S. to exploit you, and through the vagaries of history and random chance. I mean, a Canadian culture is identical to American culture. Like, what's the difference between a Canadian and somebody from Minnesota? At least the person from Minnesota could vote for president. Healthcare. You guys got one son of a bitch NDP guy. You guys don't even like NDP. You don't even like the NDP. You vote for the Liberals, and that's 90% of Canadians are voting for the right wing. What are you guys taking credit for the NDP?
Resigning after this turn of events, and yet
at least America, 60% of people voted for FDR. At least 60% of Americans voted for FDR.
In his speech last night, Pierre Poilievre was actually, to a certain extent, declaring victory. Take a listen.
Bro, you can't be this stupid, but then again, you're American. I sometimes, when I'm talking about Canada, Canadians get angry because the main point of Canadian nationalism is to be an American, but to have this artificial distance from being an American. So you get to like be an American, but not claim, but to not, you know, be like, oh, I'm not American, I'm Canadian. The only real thing that is the heart of Canadian nationalism is in being not American, right? That's the only thing. Like it's I'm plausibly American until I need to dodge it. Then I go, oh, I'm Canadian. So they want to have, like, that's why their entire country clusters within 50 miles of the fucking border, right? Because the entire country is oriented around servicing Americans, providing Americans with their resources, you know, trading with America. Like, you know, Canada only really exists as an extension of the U.S., but it gives the Canadian people an opportunity to kind of distance themselves from what they're a part of with this kind of like, you know, fake nationalism, right? This Pierre speech, aged like milk, by the way, says after he lost his seat and Libs pick up enough seats to coalition with the NDP to keep that in mind for your own enjoyment and viewing pleasure. What is this hate farbing? I thought you were a leftist. Oh, am I not servicing your nationalism? Am I not servicing your fucking nationalism? You lib fuck. There's no such thing as nations. They're fake. Just like being an American is fake. As a Canadian, I fully understand we were just North USA. I wish you wouldn't deny it, because it just means your politics are shit. It means your politics are shit. I don't say this to insult you. I say it as a descriptor of reality. What do you think? I think I'm proud to be an American? You being proud to be Canadian is just as cringe as a hog being proud to be American. Fucking embarrassing. Just voted for an investment banker and you're coming in here being like how proud you are to be an American. Fucking disgusting. Oh, I'm so proud to be Canadian. We have our new investment banker leader. He's gonna cut all my programs and I'm gonna have the same social safety net as an American. Yay! Like, what are you proud of? We're proud of how we helped you go to Afghanistan and murder innocents. What are you proud of? We're proud we committed a lot of war crimes in World War I. Like, what are you proud of? We're proud that we helped exterminate and continue to usurp the power and rights of Native Canadians. Like, what are you talking about? What are you proud of? Anti-Araskaya. This is something I noticed with online left communities, is Canadians and Europeans coming into American content, American political content, occupying space in it, and then being nationalists for their petty little fucking nation state. Your country sucks. France sucks. The UK sucks. Germany sucks. Canada especially sucks. Shut your fucking mouth. Your country sucks shit. Be quiet. If you're gonna come, if you want to be in a leftist space, you need to be an anti-nationalist. You don't need to come in here and going like, oh man, let me tell you how great Australia is. Fuck off, we're full. Shut your fucking mouth. Australia sucks. Like, you want to, if you criticize America, which I encourage you to do, I love hating on America, but your stupid fucking country sucks more. I'm not talking about people that are in, you know, decolonizing movements fighting against Western imperialism. Your countries are awesome. Mexico, you're great. But don't come in here and be like, nah, Canada is actually a lot different than America. Anyway, here's our investment banker leader who worked for Goldman Sachs or whatever the fuck he worked for. We're not American at all. My name is Mark Joseph Carney. He went to Harvard and held various works at Goldman Sachs. Wow, you guys are so right. You are so different than us. You're completely separate from us. What was I thinking? What was I thinking? The Harvard graduate who worked at Goldman Sachs in New York? Oh, what was I thinking? You guys are completely... By the way, this guy is the definition of not Canadian. This is a... How do you guys vote for people like this? Like, legitimately, how do you guys vote for somebody on an anti-American platform who's literally a fucking capitalist class American who completely orbits America in every fucking way? It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? He graduated with a bachelor's degree in economics from Harvard and then went to Oxford. And then he went and worked at Goldman Sachs. But then suddenly he became Canadian again in 2003. How convenient. Hey, that's very convenient. Just so he could join the Bank of Canada as deputy governor. So was he hired directly out of New York City, or How did the Bank of Canada hire him? Was he directly in London, or he then served as the 120th governor of the Bank of England? He's literally not Canadian. This is like legitimately, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. You guys tried to argue with me that Canada isn't just an extension of American capitalist hegemony. And it is. He is. He's the definition of a subservient pro-American Canadian politician. This guy defends the status quo of American dominance, and you elected him to say fuck you to America? How does that work? Like, explain it. This is the gigantic status quo neoliberal of American ass kissing, and he's your fucking man of sovereignty, because the other option was a fascist. I thought there was many parties in Canada. No one made you vote for liberal. The gentrocracy hasn't lost this battle yet. Conley tapped 70-year-old rep Stephen Litch to fill it for him until the next election. But as Nicholas Wu notes, when late oversight chair Elijah Cummings, a Democrat, was unable to act as chair due to health issues, he tapped then rep Carolyn Maloney to act in his capacity. She ultimately became the committee chair. Now, Stephen Lynch is like a Republican. I would say Stephen Lynch is one of the most right-wing Democrats in the entire country. So, I mean, this is the Democratic Party as well. I don't want you guys to think that I hate Canada, because I don't. I just hate the cringe fucking behavior of Canadians in American spaces. It's like, be ashamed of yourselves. Your politics is just as bad as ours. Be a fucking shame to yourself. You elected a Goldman Sachs executive, you fucking loser. It's like, you know, why don't you have some shame? You're a settler colony. You're all mega Zionists. You do all the evil shit we do. And then you send your worst fascists down here to pollute our politics and take giant shits in our laps. Have some shame. Absolutely pathetic. People expected me to like that outcome and being like, yay, look at how fascism has been defeated, guys. They've got the Goldman Sachs executive capitalist class bourgeois fuck from who worked as the chair of the Bank of England. How is that even legal? How is it even legal that he can work for another country's central bank as the governor and then be elected to your political system? Like, this should be... I'm not saying that Canada and England should be close allies, but there should be a wall of separation between literal senior government position in a different country than coming to your country. You have different like currencies. You have different objectives, different populations, different, you know, you might have differences in your what's good for you. Why the fuck do you have, what, you don't have anybody in Canada that can lead the country who isn't fucking, like, what is this? It's crazy. I'm pretty sure we just elected our own Ronald Reagan. Yeah, he's going to privatize everything. I think it's just for Americans, the juxtaposition seems like a major win for leftism comparably to Trump, but you're right. Of course I'm right. What do you want me to pathetically be like, wow, see, this is what I'm talking about with this cope. This is what I'm talking about with this pathetic fucking liberal cope. You want me to be like, wow, great job, guys. You elected your Goldman Sachs executive. It's the same thing as when, you know, the right-wing Labour won in the UK. Was I sitting here going like, wow, yay? No, I was pissed off because I knew exactly what would happen, and it was fucking terrible. And now Reform, the far-right party in the UK, is surging. Labour is collapsing, just as I said they would, because why? Neoliberal centrism is in crisis. It cannot fix any of the problems of neoliberal centrism. And you guys elected the uber neoliberal centrist. You should be ashamed of yourselves. You should be pissed off. You should be just as disgusted as us for electing Trump. I'm happy Trump style of politics. Do you think Pierre is Trump? Pierre is just a neoliberal, like they were the same guy. Pierre and Mark Carney were the same fucking guy. Like, heads you win, heads the banks win, tails the banks win. Like, he's literally the same fucking guy. Honestly, he might even be more legitimately Canadian. Oh, never mind. Milton Friedman. I'm trying to figure out, like, wow, he's just a politician from day one, huh? He's just a pure politician. I mean, he was a Milton Friedman worshiper. This is like, honestly, this is crazy. This is like the Canadian equivalent of Charlie Kirk, basically. This is the Canadian equivalent of Charlie Kirk, except he graduated from college. That's about it. Yo, dude, Canadian politics, you guys, that's sad, dude. That's fucking sad. Less educated than Trump. That's... Yep, he got into politics at 25 and didn't do shit. He got picked up by default because they ran out of candidates. And yep, Ben Shapiro-ass guy. Yeah, what a pathetic fucking choice by the conservatives. Holy shit. So at this point, you're either voting for more neoliberalism or for fascism and accelerationism. The reason why I'm busting up Canadians is because you guys sit there constantly fucking smart, sniffing your own farts, and you need to be shaken awake. Like you watch American politics while your politics is just as bad. Same thing with Brits. In fact, your politics might even be worse than ours. And you're sitting there all coping and acting superior when your country's falling a fucking apart just as badly as ours, if not worse. And somebody has to speak truth to you. What, you think your Canadian political influencers are going to say anything? They don't. They're talking about American shit. I'll go on a Rational National or the Surfs, you know, if I want, American takes, okay? Nobody's actually doing anything over there. At least we have, like, some political, motion on the left in America. Where's your political motion? You guys have nothing. And that's just fucked up. That's pathetic. I mean, like, what are you doing? Is Harry Sisson Canadian? No fucking shot. No fucking shot. No. He's not. No. He was born in Singapore. He started posting at 14 with the username Typical Democrat. Who are his parents? How the fuck do these people have Wikipedia pages? I guess they have a lot of followers on TikTok. All right. I guess I should bust up the liberal Canadians right when they come in for my Canadian politics election coverage. But I am kind of tired of you guys talking so much. I'm not gonna lie. When you have absolutely no motion on the left at all, it's like you don't have anyone. At least we have like AOC and Bernie to cope with, and we have Ilhan Omar. Like, who's your guys' left-wing leaders? Who are your guys? Who's the big leaders on the left in Canada? Well, Mike, we have single-payer healthcare. They're dismantling it, and they're trying to privatize it, and they're cutting funding, and they're trying to make it so fucking, they're trying to make it so unusable that everyone hates it, so it gets privatized to American fucking insurance companies and profiteers. This is Giga Cope. What's the cope? Stop using... You're not allowed to just post shit that's fucking worthless in my chat. If you're going to make your first message, at least make a message that has some sort of content that I can chew on, instead of just whiny, bitch-made, fucking Canadian loser-ass shit.
Conservatives have achieved major breakthroughs tonight. We brought in record support from blue-collar and unionized workers, youth, new Canadians. We gave voices to countless...
I love being American so much. We talk shit about ourselves, but the moment another country comes in, we cook them. By the way, I don't have American nationalism. I'm an actual leftist, which is impossible to find online, apparently. You know what leftism isn't? Being a Canadian nationalist for a fucking Wall Street investment banker, you fucking loser. You pathetic fucking Canadian loser fucks. Oh, yeah, he worked on Wall Street. Yeah, he went to Harvard. I'm so proud to be Canadian. He didn't even go to McGill, for fuck's sake.
People across this country who've been left out and left behind for far too long. We won the big debates of our time on the carbon tax, on inflation, on housing, on the drug crisis, on crime.
Mike, we had no choice. It's a win that PP lost, but we understand what you're saying. Okay, thank you, Juro Killer. I love my Canadian chatters. I love Canadian viewers, by the way. I do actually like you guys quite a lot. But I'm giving you the business because you should be disgusted. And... you need to clean up your mess. I'm tired of seeing Canadians come in and talk about my country's politics and then be like Trumples or this the worst neoliberal scum on the planet. You guys need to clean those people up. Thank you.
Conservatives have been leading the debate, and we will continue to put forward the best arguments to improve the lives of our people right across this country. But we will not stop there. Every single day, our Conservative caucus and I...
You can't rile me up and then complain about me being riled up. How am I complaining? I'm telling you why you're wrong. It's not complaining. I'm telling you why you're wrong to be happy. And you should be pissed off that your politics is this shit. You elected the most American subservient politician in the Liberal Party to stand up to America. You got tricked. What, you want me to pretend that you're not getting tricked?
We'll be holding the government to account on behalf of the millions of Canadians who believed
I don't think we could tell others to clean up their mess, though. Bro, part of the reason why we have such problems in the U.S. is foreigners coming in and influencing our politics without being called out. Let's be honest. How much foreign interference is in our politics right now? Quite a lot.
the message of change.
That part of his speech may have been an opening salvo, part of a bid to perhaps keep his job.
Mike from PA hates foreigners. No, I hate foreign capitalists. I'll be honest. I hate all capitalists, but I especially hate foreign capitalists. Elon Musk, all the fucking APAC money. You know, you have your stupid Kevin O'Leary. You have your dumb fuck piece of shit motherfuck scumbag, every single piece of shit conservative influencer, I swear to God, is Canadian.
Atop a party.
The Murdochs. Like, it's terrible. Okay? I'm not saying there isn't a shit ton of terrible Americans. There are. But Jesus fucking Christ.
Does appear to be
Saudi
fraught
Arabia.
with serious
Holy
infighting.
fuck.
If he is going to carry on in the short term, he is going to have to figure out how to lead this party without being able to be a leading voice in the House of Commons. Another Conservative that did win a seat.
If you lose your seat, you're done. He lost his seat. He's done. What do you mean lead the party? He's fucking done. He fumbled one of the easiest elections of all time. Let's do some better cover. Instead of me just roasting Canadians, which is not going to help my stream grow at all and just alienate Canadians because they're very fragile. They need to be told that they're a good boy and we love Canadians. America we just love you guys. So we don't. I'm sorry people lied to you. Be mad at me if you want. But you're gonna see, like, look at this shit. This is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Donald Trump got elected, or Donald Trump got sworn in, and the Liberal Party was getting passed by the NDP. The NDP was actually in the running to replace the Liberals as the second largest party. And Donald Trump got elected, and every Canadian center left joined the Liberal Party. This is insane. Like, how is this possible? How is this possible? How did you guys fall for this? This is January 24th. Donald Trump was sworn in January 20th. This was the low point. You could literally just see, oh, Donald Trump got elected? I guess I'm voting Liberal again. Trump got elected and Trudeau quit. What's the difference between Trudeau and Mark Carney? If anything, Mark Carney's more right-wing than Trudeau.
Last night, someone, unclear who, is going to have to be asked to step down, and then when a by-election.
It is fear. Boomers are afraid of Trump, so they vote for the established party. Yeah, I mean, no, it was nationalism too. It was that's why the Canadians are mad at me, because they're coming off nationalist fervor. They saw a vote for Carney as a vote against Trump, and Pierre was seen as like being pro-Trump, right? That's all this is. It's not very complicated. Like I wish I could do, you know, more analysis here, but really all this is they were voting against Trump. They were voting in favor of Canadian nationalisms. They were voting with hurt feelings, right? They were voting for, you know, oh man, we've always been the lickspittle of America, and now they're bullying us, and it's not fair. And so they wanted to stand up because of pride. And I get it. I mean, I would have done the same thing. I'm not vote for Liberals, but I would have felt the same way if I were Canadian. I would have been like, we're on our hands and knees servicing you guys 24/7. And you still are mean to us? I mean, how low? We couldn't get any lower than you. We clean your boots every day. We send our young boys to die in your genocidal imperialist wars. We depopulate our natural resources for you, and we send it to you at discounted price for your fake monopoly money. We have you know, cut back on our social services and cut taxes on the rich. We refuse to build a single stick of social housing for Canadian citizens, and we invite in infinite American dollars to speculate on our housing and real estate so none of us can afford to live. How much lower can we get beneath you, my American overlords? Oh God, please discipline me, daddy. Like, that is the Canadian mindset. And you were still spit on. And you know what? I do admit, seeing you guys try to stand up for yourself is inspiring in a certain type of way. I mean, you stood up for yourself by electing the most pro-American guy you could possibly find, who's literally a Wall Street banker. But I get what you were trying to do. You know, I think a good analogy of it is Like, you tried to take a swing at us, but you missed and hit yourself in the face. And like, I at least admire you for trying to take a swing. Like, at least you took a swing. Now, you punched yourself in the face by electing the most pathetic fucking loser you possibly could find. But hey, at least you had some pride. That's something we can build off of. Either Canadians have severe brain rot and cope, or DGG is here protecting me, Canada. I'm seeing people say you're doing blood and soil. Whatever cope you need to make, you pathetic fucking... You're ruled by a literal Wall Street banker. That's going to be your prime minister, a literal Wall Street banker. There's nothing more pathetic than that. I mean, Jesus Christ, we don't even go that low. Goldman Sachs banker leader? Jesus fucking Christ, that's pathetic. Like, there's few things that I can imagine that are more pathetic than that. My contempt for Canada grows.
Election is called, Pierre Poilievre is going to have to try again to get a seat in the House of Commons.
Better than a dictator, bro. Pierre was going to be a dictator. And by the way, I think Pierre is terrible. And maybe Mark Carney is slightly better than Pierre. I don't know. But I mean, like, Jesus Christ. This is like electing Bloomberg or something. Like, this is literally the best analogy of who you guys just elected is Bloomberg. Pathetic. But hey, at least you beat Pierre. Pierre lost his seat. That's good. Mike, we get it. You would have had to spoil your ballot to preserve your right to complain. Huh? They do it to admit just risk management. I mean, the NDP was literally about to pass the Liberals, and you guys went to the Liberals because of Donald Trump. Like, I mean, what do you even want me to say? Like he went toward the Liberals. Acted like there was any result that would have been ideal. I mean, what do you mean? The NDP was about to pass the Liberals, and you guys turned against them. What do you want me to say? Address this. Communism is low-key based. Mark Carty. Oh, good point. Carty is pro-trans, pro-healthcare, pro-social services. NDP ran a terrible campaign. If anything, blame them. Carty is the best option to stand up to Trump as well. You're so confidently wrong on this. Canadians love the outcome. Yes, that's why you're stupid. That's why I have contempt for you. Because you're dumb. You literally elected a bourgeois American London banker. You are dumb as fuck. You are a stupid fucks. You're stupid. That's why I have to be this blunt. Because nobody is going to be blunt. They're all going to do this liberal, like, yay, pom-poms, yay. Oh, wow, I can't believe he's privatizing everything. Oh, no. Again, if you're new here, you're going to be mad at me. And then 6 months from now, you're going to be like, well, Mike, you know, I was mad at you, but it turns out you were right. This is called the Mike from PA cycle. This is the Mike from PA cycle. You want to cope. You want to be a liberal. You come in here expecting me to do what everyone else is doing. I tell you the truth. You get mad and emotional, but you don't have any arguments. And then 6 months later, you come back and see that I was right about everything. And there's one of two things that can happen. Either you're going to be like, you know what, Mike, you were right. I'm sorry I fought with you. It turns out you were correct. Or you're going to become a hater of mine and just like invent shit to be mad at me and then support people that just copy my takes. Like, that's literally what you're going to do. Those are the two outcomes. The two outcomes are you're going to follow people who just copy my takes and dislike me because I, was blunt about this shit before everyone else. Or you're going to have some humility and come back and go, okay, you were actually right. He is shit. Like, I'm not going to pretend that he's good. In fact, the reason why I'm so mad, and I'm going to be honest, I'm mad. I'm mad because you guys, your country is about to get a lot worse and there's no hope. You have a lot less hope than I do. Like, I actually think American politics, although we have Trump right now and he's doing a lot of disastrous shit, I have a lot more hope for American politics than I do Canadian politics. And I feel really bad for you. This actually comes from a position of love. I'm not trying to manipulate you guys. I'm not trying to get you to be fans of mine. Like, I'm raw and emotional for you because you guys are fucked. That's cope. Canada's a much better place. You're fucking delusional and a liberal. You're a fucking delusional liberal. Cardi is better than PP equals Kamala is better than Trump. Like, it's true, I guess, but it's still shit. Chew gum. Yeah, I mean, America's going to end up in a better place. America's going to end up in a better place than Canada because of these elections. I love that people can't wrap their head around the fact that you're being provocative, but you're trying to tell them that our fight against fascism is their fight, to stop thinking that imaginary line does something special. Oh, exactly. That's exactly what I'm trying to. That's why do you think I'm trying to tell you guys the entire time that you're Canadian, you're American light, because you're not standing up to us. You elected an American banker. Most Americans see Trump as a dangerous dictator, poll says. 52% of Americans say that Trump is a dangerous dictator whose power should be limited before he destroys American democracy. The majority of Americans say President Trump is a dangerous dictator who poses a threat to democracy and believe he's overstepped his authority by actions such as mass firing of federal employees. Only 4 in 10 Americans supported Trump after his first 100 days, which is the worst result ever. Cardi had the reputation of being the adult in the room, a technocrat in tough times. That's why he won. That means austerity. That means cutting social services and taxes for the rich and regulation. He's going to act like a banker. That means recession. That means your economy is going to be weaker. That means that you're going to be worse off. I'm sorry, but if you think that somebody who works for Goldman Sachs and the Bank of London is some sort of secret communist, you're fucking dumber than dirt. The survey is among those who have shown the most dissatisfaction with Trump's push for mass deportation, sweeping tariffs, more control of colleges, firing or laying off more than 100,000 federal employees. The survey found that 83% of Republicans, a relatively low number for Trump, had favorable views of him and his actions, while 35% of independents and 8% of Democrats did. A majority of Black, Latino, and Asian Americans agree that Trump is a dangerous dictator, and compared to 45% of white Americans. Holy shit. I think this number has only room to grow. If only 67% of Black people think that Trump is a dangerous dictator, there's room to grow on this number for sure. All right, Cardi's plan to increase housing construction. Party-led Liberal government says it will create an entity called Build Canada Homes that would act as a developer overseeing the construction of affordable housing. That's not true. It's just a bank. It's not acting as a developer. It's just a bank. Describing BCH as a lean, mission-driven organization, Carney said it will provide tens of billions in financing for new affordable housing projects across the country. The BCH will be a standalone entity rather than being placed under the stewardship of Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, because big organizations work better if they have a sole purpose. To get affordable housing started, BCH will supply $25 billion in debt financing and $1 billion in equity financing to innovative Canadian prefabricated home builders. So he's going to just create a slush fund and hand it to his friends. BCH will also issue bulk orders of housing units from Canadian modular prefabricated home builders in order to create a sustained demand. Okay, what land is it going to be put on? It will also provide $10 billion in low-cost financing and grants that will then funnel into affordable home building stream. So basically what this is saying is they're going to create $35 billion that they just give to rich, connected developers and landlords. Oh, man. The other $6 billion in grants will be earmarked for quickly building deeply affordable housing, supportive housing, indigenous housing, and shelters. Listen, this is not bad. This is good, but I'm very worried about implementation. I think this is an under-discussed issue. Like, I think this is a good policy. I think the under-discussed problem with this is if you're only doing it through connected for-profit corporations, they're going to steal the money. The first of the proposals is a promise to cut municipal development charges in half for a period of 5 years by helping cities make up the cost of that lost revenue. So the government is going to give localities the missed revenue and just give a discount. Okay. Reduce the tax liability for owners of existing structures when they sell their properties to a developer that converts those buildings into affordable housing. Tax breaks for the wealthy. The Liberals are also planning to bring back a tax incentive that was introduced in 1974 called the Multiple Unit Rental Building Cost Allowance. The MURB scheme allowed investors to claim depreciation and other costs of an apartment building against unrelated income. In other words, one of the best things you're going to be able to do as a Canadian is you'll buy an apartment building when you have income and then claim maximum depreciation against an asset that's not depreciating to avoid taxes. Another nice fat loophole for the rich to get that you can never touch. He would also boost the housing. This is neoliberalism in a nutshell. Like, you know what you should do? Create a federal housing developer, land banks, and build social and public housing on land that has been expropriated and then built with government employees for government housing or social or money that if you're giving money to private organizations, this should go to limited or no profit cooperative buildings. That's what a left-wing policy would be. This is just handing out money to the rich and connected developers. This is fucking terrible. This is the slumlord creation engine. Also, it's so expensive for what they're projecting you get out of it. Like, they're giving $40,000 in cash per unit. That's so expensive to have no ownership. I mean, like, how much do you think it really costs to build an apartment unit per apartment unit? Like, you're like paying all the costs. You're giving them massive tax breaks. $4 billion for 100,000 units is $40,000 per unit. Why not just give $40,000? Like, that's crazy talk. So much. Jesus fucking Christ. And you're owning nothing. Cardi said that when the Second World War ended, Canada faced a housing crisis with not enough homes for returning troops, but the country overcame that challenge by getting into the home building business. He said it's time to do that again. They created new agencies to oversee the construction of homes. Guys, were those just tax breaks to developers, or was that like actual social and public housing? Was that I don't know the Canadian history of the post Cold War. I admit this is a blind spot, but I'm guessing they built public housing, right, and social housing. Would you like me to ask my coworker for the multi-family division for the company I work for to see what our cost per unit was for apartments? Yes, I do. My guess is somewhere between 100 and 200. They built Central Mortgage and Housing Corp, local housing authorities, up to a maximum of 80 to 90% of their construction costs. In exchange for this funding, local housing authorities had to fix rents so that they did not exceed 20% of the occupants' aggregate income. Now this is leftism. Clark, who was responsible for drafting the NHA, felt that the competition posed by public housing authorities deterred private investment. Price increases and subsequent evictions occurred nationally. One study of 1,058 Canadian households found that 27.2 had been evicted following rent increases. In 1949, an amendment was made that facilitated joint CMHC provisional territorial loans and the creation of social housing. Oh boy. Every time I look at Canadian shit, it's always so much worse than I thought. They're reducing taxes for people who sell homes, that are 1.3 million or less. The NDP proposed to set 100% of suitable federal crown land to build more than 100,000 rent control apartments by 2035. They also said they require CMHH to offer low interest public backed mortgages. Good luck, Canada. Good luck, Canada. You're gonna need it.
I also think to myself, and I think Carville said this first, and he's right, it's got to bifurcate. The AOC kind of socialist thing, she's got to go run her own deal, because that party, she will never be president of the United States with that platform. She doesn't believe in the American dream. She doesn't want to support people getting wealthy, and she's also a terrible manager. I think she's a great marketer. I buy her T-shirts, 83% gross margin. I give them out on the beach in Miami after I sign them. You know, the tax the rich thing? I'm the guy wearing those on the beach, giving them out. I think it's hilarious. But she's making 83% on those things, okay? So she's actually a capitalist.
Heck of a capitalist right there.
Exactly. But my point is, that party needs to shed that scale off it so that it can become more centrist and find their new, for lack of a better word, they need a Jesus. They need someone to rise up that we don't know and say, I'm the new direction of this party to compete.
I absolutely love that you think this is Canada's problem. This is a needed reaction. The U.S. absolutely fucking the world and close it. We don't want this either, and we have y'all to thank for it, you pathetic. That's the most Canadian thing I've ever heard a person say. Just when I thought you couldn't be more Canadian, you deliver we're not responsible for our own actions level, and it was America's fault that we voted for a Republican investment banker as our Liberal Party leader. That is the most Canadian thing I've ever heard. Listen to your fellow Canadian.
Think about what happened with the working man. I don't know how Trump did this, but he stripped the working man and the unions out of that party like soft meat off a baby back rib. Just sucked it off. And
you're right. He's way better at this than I am.
The analogies on the food.
But it's true. It's true. That's what happened. How did he do that? He took away their base.
Yeah. When Carville speaks about Democrats, I actually listen. And what he was on the Politics War Room podcast with those comments, Kevin, and he had said that, you know, these two, AOC and Bernie, not the future of the party. And I just want to read this quote. He said, if AOC wants to run for president or wants to put her name on the ballot, let her come. Bernie Sanders ran twice and lost 2 times. Maybe he wants to take a crack a 3rd time. I have no problem with that. But be sure we get who, in my opinion, are staggeringly more acceptable, staggeringly more talented, staggeringly more articulate candidates out there. He is saying in this podcast he's sure that they have those people in the Democrat Party. I'm not sure that they do. Because I think if they did, I mean, I would hope we would be seeing them.
If Carville's saying that about AOC, I would bet money right now that she not only that she wins the nomination, because they always fall on, I've said this before, but they act like he's some sort of wise Southern soothsayer. He said more than once, Kamala, baby, she's going to win. He published a piece in the New York Times saying that Kamala Harris was going to win. He's a dried up old peach pit. He knows nothing about modern liberal.
I mean, she's right. She's fucking right. This is also why Fox News does better than the liberal networks. This is actually why Fox News does better than the liberal networks, because they play to their audience's prejudices really well. They feed red meat to their base, and they laugh at stuff that everybody finds laughable. AOC and Bernie Sanders are the most popular politicians in the Democratic Party outside of Barack Obama. And Barack Obama is popular because, 1, it's nostalgia. And number 2, he doesn't inject himself into anything political now. He stays apolitical to protect his brand so he can make money. If Barack Obama was out there actually saying shit and fighting the fights, his popularity would go down because, you know, he supports neoliberal centrism. If he was out there talking about shit, people would get tired of him. And Barack Obama knows that. So he stays quiet because he's trying to he represents the core around which neoliberalism in America and the world turns. He endorsed, you know, Emmanuel Macron. He endorsed Starmer. He endorses Biden. He is the person for which the shit politics that we are currently suffering under can be directly pointed back to. It was Barack Obama's failure as a leader, Barack Obama's desire to suppress the left, both here and abroad. Okay, that is the problem. All right, let me finish up Canadians politics by giving Cardi his chance to give his victory speech, so that you can all see why Canadians are so up in their feels for this man. Are you guys ready? Are you ready to be inspired?
As I've been warning for months, America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country.
Smart. Can I just say, this is smart? Like, I congratulate him for leaning into this, like, anti-American nationalism while being himself an American bootlicker. That's good marketing. It is funny to see, but it is smart.
Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never ever happen. We are once again at one of those hinge moments of history. Our old relationship with the United States, a relationship based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The system of open global trade, anchored by the United States, a system that Canada has relied on since the Second World War, a system that, while not perfect, has helped deliver prosperity for a country for decades, is over. These are tragedies, but it's also our new reality. We are over the shock of the American betrayal, but we should never forget the lessons. We have to look out for ourselves, and above all, we have to take care of each other. And my message to every Canadian is this: no matter where you live, no matter what language you speak, no matter how you voted, I will always do my best to represent everyone who calls Canada home.
breaking overnight this stunning political comeback thanks to and at the expense of.
I just want to apologize to my Canadian viewers who felt that I was harsh and I was trolling them. You guys were right. This is the second coming of Marx. He's got this in the bag. I can see a whole new expansion of social programs for the Canadian working class. I see the trade union movement surging. You guys were right. I was wrong. That guy is a leader and he's got a platform and he believes in it and he's going to get it done. And I can't believe that he barely won. I'm surprised he didn't win even more seats.
President Trump. Canada's Liberal Party, led by Prime Minister Mark Carney, declared victory overnight despite being really...
You've done absolutely nothing to show that he's a bad choice except Wall Street bad? Okay. Will Mark Carney continue the Liberals' pro-privatization agenda? This is from the Canadian Union of Public Employees, April 17th, 2025. So a couple weeks ago, they put out this. Before leaving office, former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau set in motion several privatization projects, hoping his successor will carry them forward. Here's some of what Justin Trudeau is hoping Mark Carney and the Liberals will see through if they are reelected later this month. Privatizing municipal water and hydroelectric power. In his December fall economic statement, the Liberal government indicated plans to ease rules restricting privatization of municipal utilities. Currently, private sector ownership is capped at 10%. Investors have been eyeing the steady revenues from residents' water and hydro bills for a long time. The consequences of privatizing utilities are well documented. Higher user fees, reduced public revenues for municipalities, and also worse service. Greenlighting a mega P3 project. In February, the Liberals unveiled plans for high-speed rail between Toronto and Quebec City, but as a public-private partnership. Instead of strengthening VIA rail, government will outsource design, building, financing, operations, and maintenance of this critical infrastructure to a for-profit consortium, including CDPQ Infra and Atkins Realis, formerly SNC Lavalin. Major P3 players with spotty track records. When transit projects are run for profit, planning becomes opaque, community needs are sidelined, and public costs increase. Promoting airport privatization. In March, the Liberals released a policy statement promoting the privatization of Canada's national airport system. Not for-profit airport authorities are now expected to outsource operations and maintenance and partner with private investors to create for-profit airport subsidiaries. Government is also looking at allowing private investors, such as pension funds, to own substantial stakes in Canadian airports. These changes would lay the groundwork for privatization of airports, with CUPE and allied unions representing airport workers have warned would drive up costs for travelers, erode wages and working conditions, and privatize corporate profits over public safety and public interests. Mark Carney's privatization resume. As a Goldman Sachs investment banker, Carney led the charge in the first attempted privatization of Ontario's public hydro utility, Hydro One. As a senior official in the finance department, Carney oversaw the sell-off of Canada's remaining public stake in Petro-Canada, completing its full privatization. Carney was the chair of Brookfield Asset Management, a global giant in privatizing utilities, toll roads, ports, energy and telecom infrastructure, and a key player in pro-privatization lobbying through the Global Infrastructure Investor Association. Carney has pledged to cap the size of public service and cut public spending without saying how deep the cuts would go. And Carney's stated goal of catalyzing major private investment while disciplining core government spending is just code for more privatization and austerity. But hey, that's just the union. That's just the union. What does the union know when we have a Wall Street Goldman Sachs banker we can be sucking off? Canada's incoming prime minister is a banker. Canada's incoming prime minister is a former banker with no political experience. His technocratic centrism is ill-suited for an area of populism and political upheaval, making a Liberal victory in the looming election far from certain. Well, they pulled it off, but given his own background at the upper echelons of global finance, Carney, whatever his own claims to the contrary, can hardly be called an outsider in any meaningful sense, but his meteoric rise in Canadian politics is somewhat unusual and it's hard to imagine in an even slightly different political context. And yet, Carney has emerged as a cipher uniquely well positioned to exploit an uncertain and anxious political moment. It's very simple. The Canadian Conservatives were seen as allied with Trump. He said, Trump bad, Trump bad, Trump bad. I love Canada. And he won. It's not very complicated. It's to centrist liberals and older middle-class voters upset by Trump. That's exactly all it is. Pathetic. A massive ramp up in military spending, reduce government spending. So massive ramp in military spending, which is that's what Canada needs, guys. Canada needs a massive ramp up in military spending. Jesus fucking Christ.
Left for dead several months ago, but then Donald Trump
That's
took
where your
office,
Medicare money's
targeted
going.
Canada with tariffs and
I'm sorry,
threatened
your
to
single-payer
annex it
healthcare.
as the 51st state.
America wants our land, our resources, our water, our country. Never. But these are not idle threats. President Trump.
Cardi's first move once in power were to change our labor ministry and our women equality and gender ministry into a single ministry called the Jobs and Family Ministry. Yeah, getting rid of labor, getting rid of the labor department or labor ministry is basically fascist, actually. So you guys got yourself a banker fascist who wants to privatize all your shit and increase military spending. But he says Trump bad. So, I mean, what could I expect of Canadians?
Is trying to break us so that America can own us. That will never, ever happen.
That was the main campaign issue, and this is what Donald Trump has said about Canada over the last several months.
And we can't let them take advantage of the U.S. What I'd like to see, Canada become our 51st state. Canada only works as a state. It doesn't. We don't need anything they have. If you look at a map, they drew an artificial line right through it between Canada and the U.S. If we make it in the United States, we don't need it to be made.
I don't know about you guys, but whoever considered that borders are a scar across the land, that they're all arbitrary, that human beings and animals should be able to transit across the earth, free flow of people. That's what I'm all for. It's an artificial land border between America and Canada. It makes no sense. It's a scar upon the land.
He's right. He's right, chat. Radical anarchist Trump is right.
Made in Canada, we'll have the jobs. That's why Canada should be our 51st state. So when I say they should be a state, I mean that. I really mean that. Because we can't be expected to carry a country. I do like the O Canada, right? It's a beautiful thing. I think we're going to have to keep it for the 51st state. I call him Governor Trudeau.
Right. How decisive was President Trump in the
How
Canadian...
mad are the Canadian Conservatives? How mad are the Canadian Conservatives right now? The only thing that could fuck them over was Donald Trump doing exactly that. How mad are they? They got cucked so bad. They got giga-cucked.
An election.
If I were, like, the one thing I will say to Canadians, I know I've been beating you guys up because my hatred is pure for the capitalist class. And I don't think your guys' hatred is pure, which is why some of you are getting annoyed. You need to really hate capitalists more than you do. Like, you need to, in your mind, stop considering them to be like people. They are disgusting parasites that would kill every single one of you if they could. Make the line go up a fraction of a point, okay? They hate you. They hate humanity, all right? Why do you think they're spending so much money on AI that sucks? Because they're trying to get rid of other human beings, okay? They hate you. They despise you. They would sell your water to a for-profit corporation. Do you understand how depraved that is? Clean, drinkable water provided to every citizen was one of the greatest victories of socialist politics of the last century. And these neoliberal scumbags are trying to sell off these public municipal water systems for a profit so they could have polluted, lead-poisoned water, infrastructure that's collapsing, and unaffordable water bills. If there's anything that should never be privatized, it's water systems. Water systems should never be privatized because all it does is create a monopoly that damages the economic viability of the region. It hurts the health, creates rent-seeking behavior. It's crazy to do it. I think if somebody supports privatizing water systems, they are actually insane. Even from the point of view of like conservative capitalists, privatizing water systems is batshit crazy. Like if you have a factory, for example, in Flint, Michigan, because they fucked their water system, factories had to close because they needed water for their industrial policies, industrial production. And so when they got poisoned water out of the tap, they couldn't fucking manufacture their goods. So you have created a situation where you've created a market in water that is disastrous, ruins the infrastructure of the society, and therefore you have to close factories, reducing productivity, reducing wealth. So all you've done is you've made a smaller economy, a less productive economy, so that what? Some capitalists can rent seek off the water system for a couple pennies? It's fucking crazy. Also, did the private company pay for the water infrastructure? No, of course not. Why do they get to profit from it? Because they pay this guy bribes. That's why. We should have a constitutional amendment against the privatization of our infrastructure. It should be unconstitutional to privatize your infrastructure. It should not even be a question. It should not even be on the fucking block.
Our friend Jonathan Martin at Politico.
So, just wait till we get a Mars colony and they charge you for oxygen. And the best colonies are be the ones that just have centralized infrastructure that expands and produces it for the common good. The colonies that try to charge you for water and air are going to remain small, dismal little backwaters. And it will only be settling efforts that actually provide these things as a human right that are going to grow and produce. And that's the exact fucking model that's why China is kicking our ass. That's why China is going to be the world superpower. They already are, and we're all in cope mode because of IMF shit and financial, using nominal GDP instead of purchasing power parity GDP. China is already the biggest country in the world as far as the economy. They already produce everything. They are already way more self-sufficient. They already have way more infrastructure. They're better. They're ahead of us. Period. Dot. It's over already. And the reason why is because they have a political class that doesn't try to undermine its own infrastructure for pennies, right? When they're corrupt in the Chinese Communist Party, they get paid billions because they did a bunch of shit for real. And the deal is, okay, you make a lot of money as a member of the Communist Party. If you do something corrupt and you piss off Xi, your head will be on a chopping block. You better not fuck up. That's a hell of a lot better deal than we have in this country with our billionaires. Our billionaires are people who basically just ran scams. WeWork. What the fuck was WeWork? Why was that guy made into a billionaire? Elon Musk? He's been promising self-driving cars for 10 fucking years. He said we were going to be on Mars in 2021 or something. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? What are you a billionaire for? Well, I put Western Union on the internet. Like, what the fuck? This is actually really good. The NDP. The Manitoba government says it will begin the process of expropriating the private property people refer to as LeMay Forest from its private owner, with the goal of turning the site into a state provincial park. Let's fucking go. Expropriation. Let's fucking go.
Heard from Republican Congressman Don Bacon overnight.
NDP lost their official party status. Oh, is that how bad they did? Yeah, pathetic.
Yes. Republican Congressman Bacon told him, quote, "The Liberals in Canada were losing big until our president kept mocking Canadians, our neighbors and close friends. He made Canadian Liberals great again."
True.
Let's get right to CNN's Paula Newton in Ottawa for this really election stunner. 4 months ago, no one would have predicted this.
And good morning, John.
Yeah, the NDP would have probably been the opposition. Like, this is I'm going to say something spicy, and Canadians, you need to deal with it. It would have been better if Pierre won and NDP was in opposition than Carney winning and NDP losing major party status. And the reality is, and why do I say that? If you don't agree with me, then you're fundamentally a liberal. You're fundamentally just a liberal if you don't agree with me. And the reason why is because liberal centrism has been discredited. And every country that goes in and puts another neoliberal centrist in is going to collapse even harder. You can literally see it happening in the UK right now. You can see it happening in the UK right fucking now. They put a neoliberal corporate centrist privatizer, left puncher in power. And what is the result? The far right is surging. You can literally see it. In Germany, they did the same thing. What happened? And the far right is surging and the left is falling off. If you put a neoliberal centrist in, the left is going to be damaged and the right is going to grow. That's what we've seen. Whereas in America, we have Donald Trump as president. What's happening? Obviously, his policies are fucking terrible. But anything that Trump can do, we can undo. And he is going to, and what is happening? You're seeing the left surge. AOC, Bernie Sanders, people even further to the left. They're getting all the attention. The right is in shambles in the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party's approval rating is crashing while populist left-wingers are growing. Now, are we going to take advantage of that? I don't know. I think they're going to fuck it up, but I'm going to try. In Canada, had Pierre been in power, the NDP would have been the opposition, and they could have run on a bold, progressive platform. They could have actually run on something. They could have really fought tooth and nail against the conservatives. And it was the liberals that would have gone along, and they would have taken all the hate, and they would have fallen off. And that's what we saw in Mexico. This is what you guys don't understand, is that there is a thermostatic effect that exists in politics. And your goal is to be positioned as the opposition to an unpopular leader. That is how your left-wing party surges to power. You can't surge to power by working with centrists. They will take all of your energy, they'll discredit you, and you will look bad because you'll have to eat all of the fucking negative shit they do, and you'll get credit for nothing. They'll get credit for everything that's positive, and you'll eat shit for everything that's negative, and everybody will fall off your party. That's what happened to the NDP. That's what happened to the Lib Dems when they work with the conservatives in the UK. Not that they're left wing, but that's exactly when the left joins as a junior coalition member to liberal centrists, the left dies out. Look at Germany. The left-wing party there is surging because they didn't join with the STP coalition. They didn't join with the Stop the Light coalition. Who fell off? The liberals fell off. The SDP fell off. That's exactly. And so you got to think more than just the next election. Like, if you want to think about politics in real serious ways, you have to structure yourself for decades in advance. You can't just be going like, well, I have to make this immediate strategic vote. No, you don't. And Carney's going to be a fucking disaster. And who's going to benefit? The conservatives. Hopefully, I mean, you know, and they're going to find somebody who's a lot better than Pierre. NDP is the balance of power. Liberals have 168 seats. NDP have 7. Oh my God. I mean, the NDP is fucked no matter what they do. Like, if they don't join with the liberals, then, and they, you know, the liberals are going to be whining and complaining, and they're not going to be the opposition. They have 7 fucking seats. So they're going to be irrelevant. Mike, this is just accelerationism. No, it's not. Accelerationism is I want things to get worse. I don't want things to get worse, but they're going to get worse either way. Here's what you don't understand. Joe Biden got elected and he made things worse, except the left wasn't able to benefit because it wasn't seen as the opposition. Do you not understand? Look what happened with America. After 4 years of Donald Trump, we had 2019, 2020. That was the most left-wing our politics have ever been, was 2019 and 2020. And then when Joe Biden got elected, what was the result of 4 years later? We have fucking Nazis in government now. Because the centrist Democrats were discredited just like I said they were going to be. They were going to be ineffective just like I said they were going to be. I told you exactly what would happen, exactly what would happen. I called it completely. How can you disagree with me when I called it exactly, completely, correctly the last time? I also told you how the election would go. Why do you think your analysis is better than mine? You're just saying no, but you don't have a track record. What's your track record? What's your evidence that actually voting for the centrist helps the left? Give me your counterfactuals, you dumbass. I gave you 5 different examples of where it didn't help. You have nothing. Thank God we have your hindsight. I predicted it. Non-sub, new chatter. I predicted everything. That's what you don't seem to understand. I told you that Joe Biden would be a failure and exactly how and why before he was even elected in a debate with Sam Cedar. And I told him that if Joe Biden doesn't actually have a bold progressive platform, it'll result in the return of something even worse than Trump. And guess what? We got that. A worse version of Trump. I told you exactly how he would squander the trifecta. And he did. By the way, I offered policies he could have pursued. It wasn't like I was sitting there shooting him in the back for no reason. I was saying, this is what you should do. They're not doing this thing that they should do, and there's no argument against. Like, for example, I'll give you an example of something. Why didn't they push to make DC a state? The Democrats know that the Senate is biased against them. Why did they not try to make District of Columbia a state after January 6th? One of the major reasons January 6th happened is because DC didn't have the ability to call out their own National Guard. Why didn't the liberals use that as an excuse to make DC a state? And that would have given them 2 more Democratic senators locked. Why didn't they try to do something with Puerto Rico? That would give them another probably 2 Democratic senators and 4 more Democratic congressmen at the very least. Or let Puerto Rico become independent. Have a final vote. This is the vote in May of 2021. If they vote, they become a state. If they don't vote, they get independent immediately. And have that be the final decision. No more votes, no more plebiscites. Have the president go to fucking Puerto Rico and say, this is your final determination. Do you want independence or do you want statehood? We can't have you as a colony anymore that we suck dry for Wall Street. Why? What is so crazy about this idea? Why didn't they pass the For the People Act that would ban gerrymandering, that would bring in, they had a massive donor federal funding for elections, for donor matches. If a campaign doesn't collect any donation larger than $1,000, they got a 6-to-1 federal matching. That was in that bill. Why didn't they pass, banning political gerrymandering? Why didn't they do all these things to change the structure of the system to make it more democratic, to give themselves more power? Because they don't want to win. None of this has to do with, my idea of what should or shouldn't be passed in public policy. These are structural reforms that make the Democratic Party stronger and make the country more democratic in general, and they didn't pursue it even a little bit. Why is that? Your argument relies on Jagmeet being good opposition. He had a once-in-a-lifetime chance this election, completely squandered. I kind of think he got fucked by the Trump thing. I don't know that I totally blame him. I think he should step down, though. The major reason the left didn't stand a chance today is the widespread misunderstanding of individualism. Democracy requires citizens be educated enough to make informed decisions and have a vision for the collective future, electing leaders who will work toward that vision. Unfortunately, this concept isn't being realized in many places, making democracy both flawed and easily corruptible. I think that ChatGPT has a good point there, but what I would say is my criticism of it is that individualism is fundamentally flawed. We are a collective species with collective interests. And so we should organize politically around our collective interests, particularly the working class, the division between the only two elements of society, which is there is the capitalist class, and there's the bourgeois class. There's those that work and those that benefit. And our society should be organized around a collective politics where the bourgeois are overthrown. That is the way I see it. And if we want to actually educate people about how the world really works, we have to build alternatives to the structures of that capitalists use to maintain their control. One of those things they do is this kind of dog shit propagandizing about lesser of two evils, and you can't assert your own political desires or your own collective desires or needs because you're being some sort of like spoiler effect, as if people are entitled to your fucking vote. If you're not advocating for my class interest, you don't get my vote.
In fact, Donald Trump's first 100 days consequential here in Canada. John, this was so history-making that when you speak to pollsters, they talk about not having seen this kind of party resurrection in modern political history in almost any democracy around the world. Think about that. And that was because the man, Prime Minister Mark Carney, met the moment with what? His resume. He's not exactly the most charismatic campaigner, but Canadians put their faith in him in order to bargain, to negotiate with Donald Trump. And I want to talk about something else as well, something that will reverberate in many different countries right now going forward as they all face the Trump administration. Mark Carney harnessed that anger, that betrayal that Canadians felt every time the president spoke about a 51st state or Governor Trudeau, which of course was the man that Mark Carney took over from.
Please tell the ICE detainees how you couldn't save them from your moral high ground. You are yelling at people who want the same things. You don't want the same things I do. If you wanted Kamala Harris to be president of the United States, you and I do not want the same things. We're not on the same side. In fact, the more you associate yourself with me, the more unpopular I am. Okay? If you wanted Kamala Harris to be president of the United States of America in 2024, you and I are not on the same side. She is a genocidal maniac. The fact that you could overlook that shows that you are morally depraved and you are an evil person. You are an evil person. Period. Kamala Harris was a dogshit, genocidal, centrist scumbag who hates the left and whose entire plan, if she got into office, was to hyper target and destroy the left so that every competition from always would be centrist neoliberals versus fascists. That's their idea, and so that they could forever blackmail you. I'm glad she lost. Now, is what's happening to people in ICE detention fucking terrible? Yes, it is. But the reason why ICE exists is because Joe Biden increased funding. Kamala Harris increased funding for ICE. You're like, look how bad ICE is. Except the person you voted for loves ICE. Don't pretend you're anti-ICE if you supported Kamala Harris. You don't get to do that. You are pro-ICE. You are pro what's happening. You are pro clamping down on the protesters against the Gaza genocide. Kamala Harris and the Democratic Party were completely behind that idea. Shut your fucking mouth. You don't get to put the names of the people who fought against your fucking administration in your fucking mouth, you scum. And this is why our country's fucked, because liars like you associate yourselves with people like me. You are not me. You're not on my side. We're not on the same side. I want you fucking gone. If I had my druthers, every single one of the people like you would be gone from this country because you've been persuaded gently through good and sound argument. I don't want anything to happen to you. And the thing is, like, the reason why people like you are such a problem is because your cowardice makes fighting impossible, because you never want to risk anything. You think you could always make some sort of safe, guaranteed bet. There's no such thing in politics as a safe guarantee. You didn't learn that from Hillary Clinton? You didn't learn that from Hillary Clinton? You didn't learn that from Kamala Harris? There is no safe pick. There is no guarantee. You can only bill. And so I only want to advocate for shit that's actually going to work. I'm not going to advocate for shit that's not going to work. And voting for Kamala Harris would not have stopped fascism in America. By the way, she never could win. I want you to understand this. If I had come out here and said, vote Kamala Harris, all that would happen is I would be a fucking shameful sellout and I would be humiliated for all time, and she still would have lost. Do you understand? My position wasn't because I didn't make Kamala Harris lose with my position. I told you what would happen before it happened and why, and you were mad about it, and then it happened, and then instead of you reflecting and going like, why was Mike able to see this? Maybe I should align myself more with the people that could see the way the world really is instead of the liars who lied to me and tried to manipulate me. Maybe I should support the person who was actually right the whole time. Maybe I should align my politics with someone who knows what the fuck is going on. Instead, we live in a society where you people, instead of being ashamed of yourselves, you come out here and you cope by saying it's my fault for telling you what would happen ahead of time. It's like a doctor telling you don't smoke 6 packs of cigarettes a day or you're also going to get lung cancer. And then you go to the doctor's office the next year and he does an x-ray and he says you have lung cancer. And you go, it's your fault for telling me that smoking 6 packs of cigarettes would give me lung cancer. Bitch, you smoked the cigarettes. I tried to help you. I was the one who told you to quit. You didn't quit. You got lung cancer. Congratulations. That's what voting for Kamala Harris is. You gave yourself lung cancer. How about now that you reflect on the consequences of your actions of voting for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, how about you say, okay, well, that didn't work. The centrist, like, vote for lesser evil thing is failing us time and time again. And fascism is growing. And it's even more urgent. How about you try, I don't know, believing in something, you fucking coward? Mike, I quit smoking a month ago after 28 years. Congratulations, brother. I believe in you. And the people that are actually putting their lives on the line were the people that were telling you, Kamala Harris, please, please stand up to Israel. Those are the people that are being targeted. They aren't targeting you liberal cowards. They aren't targeting Hakeem Jeffries. They aren't targeting you scum who voted for Kamala Harris. They're targeting the people that were putting their asses on the line fighting against the genocide, you fucking scum. Don't you ever, ever associate yourself with me, ever.
He harnessed that. He stiffens spines, he talks about sacrifice, and he's getting Canadians ready for what will be a tough negotiation with the president. Listen.
When I sit down with President Trump, it will be to discuss the future economic and security relationship between 2 sovereign nations.
You're not sovereign unless you have an alternative. Unless you guys have an alternative to America, you're not sovereign. You have no cards. So what is he doing to build an alternative to America? Is he going to ally with Canada? Is Canada going to ally with China? Are they going to ally with Europe? Like, what are they going to do to have an alternative? Are they inviting Chinese military bases into their country? Are there European military bases? Are they leaving NATO? Like, what are your leverage? You have no leverage, and you're not even attempting to build it. So this is empty rhetoric for babies.
And it will be with our full knowledge that we have many, many other options than the United States to build prosperity for all Canadians.
Mark Carney calling this a hinge moment, right? That pivot, which he intends to execute now that he is prime minister. John, I want to make clear this was a close election in terms of the popular vote. Canada really splitting between the Liberals of Mark Carney and the Conservatives of Pierre Poilievre. That man did not manage to even win his seat just outside here in Ottawa. Some people called him too Trumpian, but he too is at historic highs in the popular vote. What does all that mean? It means Canada itself, stop me when this sounds familiar, is really leaning on two-party politics. They want strong leaders to face the kind of threat that is coming from the White House. And right now, Mark Carney says he is getting ready for negotiations, using the word, again, John, of sacrifice, preparing Canadians for what's to come. John?
Really could have ripple effects all around the world in terms of what Donald Trump is trying to do. Paula Newton, great to see you this morning. Thank you very much.
So let's get more on the Canadian election now from Professor Michael Keating, Emeritus Professor of Politics.
Carney says China is a foreign interference geopolitical threat for Canada. In a debate Thursday night ahead of the April 28th election, Carney replied China when he asked to name Canada's biggest security threat. Absolutely no evidence. He criticized China for being a partner with Russia in the war with Ukraine. That's just not true. That's just objectively not true. Carney said China is the biggest threat from a geopolitical sense. You fucking puppet. The level of shared values with the U.S. is shifting, so our level of engagement will shift, he said. So Canada is the biggest threat. The United States of America says they want to annex your entire country via force. And it's a country that you've done nothing with trade. And there is no history of any war or conflict between China and Canada. Yet it's Canada is the biggest threat? How's that? Pathetic.
Politics at the University of Aberdeen and Honorary Professor at the University of Edinburgh. Appreciate you joining us.
Mike, with me being a socialist trans woman, you and your allies are the only people who have ever made me feel like you fight for me and others. It's been a joy to have your critiques. I never want you to change the ferocity. You go after these topic wicks. We toil, we feel the weight of the binds on our wrists, and you give amplification that hurt. Well, my thing is like, whenever somebody says like, oh, you want single payer healthcare? Well, why don't you care about trans people? It's like, oh, you think that trans kids playing high school sports isn't a serious issue and actually doesn't undermine competitiveness at all? Well, why do you hate immigrants? Oh, you think abortion is a human right and abortion care should be free at the point of service and that people should have complete reproductive sovereignty? Well, why do you like Trump? That is... Notice that whenever I am talking about a real issue with an actual position, liberals never come in here and go, Mike, you're actually wrong about single payer healthcare, which is why you're a damaging political figure. Your position on single payer healthcare would actually be harmful to America. I've never seen a liberal, like I've been doing that ever since I debated Destiny, and when I beat his ass so badly, he literally was like, Mike makes me want to learn more. That's how much I patted him on the top of the head, right? Because he knew so little about dick. None of these fuckers have ever bothered trying to come in here and argue against a political position I have. None of them come in here and argue against the Green New Deal. None of them come in here and argue against high-speed rail. None of them come in here and argue against single-payer healthcare. None of them come in here and argue against our positions on housing. Our housing system of you know, emulating the Vienna model. None of them actually argue on any of our political positions. It's always the same old bullshit, worthless rhetoric crap. Like, oh, you guys are not doing lesser of two evil vote. It's this forever loop of like, you need to vote for the lesser of two evils. No, I don't. That creates greater evil. Yes, you do. That's the only conversation they ever want to have. Because they're too stupid to have an argument that's on the merits. Mike, I need to come in here and tell you why a $25,000 tax credit for first-time home buyers in marginalized communities is actually the best we can do. Nobody ever comes in here and argues that. It's just meaningless bullshit because they're too stupid and lazy to actually think for the first time in their fucking lives.
Are you a fan of Iran?
So Canada's Liberal Party is projected to win the federal election led by Mark Carney in a stunning political comeback. Votes are still being counted, but how do you expect this to land in the end?
It's not clear whether Carney will get an absolute majority, but he will certainly form the next government because he's the biggest party. They're ahead in the popular vote. If he doesn't get a majority, he'll have to seek support from the smaller parties, most likely the new Democratic Party, which is a centre-left party, which is been doing very badly, but they may pick up half a dozen seats, and that might be critical to forming the next government.
Well, this guy's right. NDP is a center-left party. He is right.
Now, in his victory speech, Carney asked, and I'm quoting here, "Who's ready to stand up for Canada with me?" How much of this Liberal Party win was due to the Trump factor, with Donald Trump's trade war with Canada and, of course, his constant threats to make the country the 51st US state?
Oh, a great deal. Canadians are very proud of their independence. They don't dislike the United States, but they're very keen to tell you that they are not Americans, they're not part of the United States. And that kind of language is going to produce a reaction. All the parties in Canada, Quebec nationalists included, had to say, no, we'll stand up for Canada. But Carney was the most effective in doing that because the Conservative leader, Pierre Poilievre, had been seen as having some affinities with Trump and as quite close to Trump. So Carney was the one who is in a better position to speak in defense of Canada. It should be said, however, the Conservative vote also went up. Both parties went up. And at the expense of the small parties, I mentioned the new Democratic Party. There's a Quebec nationalist party, the Bloc Québécois, who may get some seats in Parliament as well. So a win for Carney, but not an overwhelming win, because nevertheless it's remarkable because they were 25 points behind just a few months ago. I've never seen such a massive turnaround in such a short period of time in any democratic system.
Yes, of course. And Mark Carney is a Harvard-educated economist with a master's degree and doctorate from Oxford University. He's also a former governor of the Bank of Canada and the Bank of England. So how will he likely take on Donald Trump and his tariffs? And how will he prevent a recession in Canada?
Well, that's remarkable. He's an Oxford-educated banker. He's just the sort of people that the populists would target. That is quite remarkable. Hardly an ordinary man of the people. But nevertheless, he speaks with some authority. And at a time of uncertainty like this, people are looking for somebody who doesn't have political experience, but has a lot of credibility and has run 2 central banks. The challenges facing the country are enormous. Even without the threat from President Trump, there are problems with growth, problems with productivity, there are problems with inflation and the cost of living. These are big problems, and Canada's dependence on energy is in some sense a strength, but it's also a weakness at a time when we're supposed to be transitioning to net to zero. As far as Trump is concerned, this is a huge challenge. Carney has certainly been able to speak up for Canada and to criticize Trump very frankly in a way that some other leaders, such as the British leader, have not been able to. But he's got.
I want to say that Carney's criticisms of Trump are surface level. They're equivalent to mean tweets, and they have absolutely no material content. And he's literally just he's just literally a neoliberal capitalist who's holding space until they get rid of Trump, because they assume that thermostatic effects are going to allow neoliberal capitalists to reassert themselves in America. That's all he's doing. Carney's not going to stand up to the United States at all. Take that to the fucking bank.
He's got to deal with the United States. The United States takes 85% of Canada's trade. There's got to be some kind of deal. Otherwise, the economic consequences for Canada.
I think you're actually actually too stupid to be here, man. Sorry. I try to give people like an opportunity to like give their views out, but you just keep repeating these same talking points in a loop. Like you just go in this fucking loop, the Canadian liberal loop, where you said, "Oh, prove to me Carney's bad," and then I showed you a whole bunch of stuff from a Canadian trade union group that showed you that he's a neoliberal, and then you didn't respond, and then you just went, and then you're just like, "Oh, you're saying he's not anything different than a Democrat." He's literally a centrist, neoliberal Democrat. Carney would be on the right wing of the Democratic Party if he was in America. You're fucking delusional.
Be quite devastating.
Michael,
you just think it's good and you're trying to trick people. And that's why everyone hates neoliberals, because you guys just lie through your fucking teeth. You don't believe in anything. You believe in nothing, which is why everyone despises you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
And like, I don't know what else to say. Canada, fuck Canada. I think that's my main point. Fuck Canada. I think that's the main point that I'd like to spread. Mudahar is Canadian. Did he like didn't he say that like American troops fight for Frogan's freedom or something? He's Canadian? And for our neoliberal chatter who is permanently banned and will never be unbanned, because honestly, here's how you can be unbanned. If you DM me a recording of you saying you're sorry, like a video of you talking and saying how much you're sorry, then you can get unbanned. But I have to see your face. You don't get to be anonymous anymore. If you're going to be a neoliberal in my chat, if you want to be unbanned, you have to be non-anonymous. I need to see your face. All neoliberal chatters need to be seen. You don't get to post your shit. New CNN poll on congressional leader approval ratings. Mike Johnson 23% favorable, Chuck Schumer 17% favorable, John Thune 16% favorable, Hakeem Jeffries 20% favorable. People hate you guys. People hate you. When your politics is understood, you're fucking despised. I actually think a neoliberal registry is a good idea. I think if people advocate for neoliberal politics, they should be cataloged, and we should have their face, and every social media account they have should be associated with them. I think that would be a good idea. Unmasking as many neoliberal accounts as possible would be a good idea, and then you'll see how few it actually is, because they tend to post a lot under multiple accounts. There's only one category of person where I see a lot of fake accounts, and they tend to be this sort of type of like right adjacent neoliberal, which they like a lot of the right wing content, but then they at the very end they're like, but I like Biden or whatever. That would be awesome. If a list of people I could freely disregard, yes. I think a list of neoliberals would be a great idea.
Income inequality. AOC and Bernie Sanders have been talking about that quite a lot. That's the whole theme of their going across the country tour, and they're pulling in huge crowds. AOC really seizing the moment and trying to define the party in its direction now. But do you think pushing the party more to the left is the right answer to Democratic soul searching?
No, I do not. I think what Bernie Sanders and AOC are doing is they're preaching to the choir. And don't get me wrong, that needs to be done. You need to get the choir fired up. You need to make sure that we stay engaged and energetic, but they're not reaching to a broader base of people. And look, I don't view this as a left-right thing. I think centrists have made mistakes. I mean, certainly the economic policies that were put in place, the notion that everyone was going to go off and get a 4-year degree and become an engineer and that was going to solve the problem, didn't fix it. But I also think on the left side, the message that we are sending is we don't like rich people, number one, and number two, we're going to give out a lot of free stuff to as many people as possible. Now, I support a robust social welfare state, but the message Democrats need to be sending is we believe in personal responsibility and hard work. Part of the reason we're losing immigrants, they don't want free stuff. They come to this country because they want to work hard and build a better life for themselves. That has to be part of our message. It can't just be if you vote for Democrats, we're going to give you free housing and free health care and free education and free everything. It's opportunity and responsibility. So I don't think going around rallies with a bunch of really enthusiastic Democrats is enough. It's important. It's a part of it. But how are we going to expand that base? How are we going to deal with concerns that people have about border security, about crime, homelessness, and drug abuse in our inner cities, about our inability to build housing? Ezra Klein has written a great book about this, how Democrats stopped having the ability to get things done, and instead we focused excessively on inclusion and process. We need to show people we can get things done. We need to show people that we still believe you work hard, play by the rules, get ahead. We have to be able to deliver that message.
I think the main thing that separates me from every other content creator is that I want you to understand something. This is who the Democratic Party is. I want you not to cope in any way. This is the Democratic Party. All right? This isn't the Democratic Party voters. That's a separate category. When I talk about the Democratic Party, I'm talking about elite level national Democrats and Democrats who hold national elected office. I am not talking about the voters, okay? The voters are not Democrats. The voters are voters, okay? So voters believe the Democratic Party is one thing. It is not that. It is this, okay? Now, it's not AOC. not Bernie Sanders. It's not the Progressive Caucus. That is not the Democratic Party. This is the Democratic Party. Adam Smith, he is literally the ranking member on the Armed Services Committee. That is one of the most important posts a Democrat can have. All right. He is a Republican. He is a Republican. Okay. That is it. What he just said is exactly what Republicans would have said in 1992. All right. And that's what the Democratic Party is. If you vote for Democrats, you're getting this guy. Anybody telling you anything different is lying to you. Now, it's not free stuff when we spend $1 trillion on the Pentagon. People are shitting on AOC again for believing the demands were working on a ceasefire. Yes, it was the biggest mistake she ever made. And I was, by the way, chat, I said it was a mistake at the time. I told you it was a mistake at the time. Biden officials admit they never pressured Israel for a ceasefire as Israeli leaders boast of playing Washington. God did the state of Israel a favor of that Biden was the president during this period. We fought in Gaza for over a year. The administration never came to us and said ceasefire now. It never did. And that's not to be taken for granted, former Israeli ambassador Michael Herzog. A sweeping Israeli Channel 13 investigation has exposed the Biden administration's complicity in Israel's 19-month war on Gaza. 9 top Biden officials acknowledged avoiding real pressure on Israel even as the death toll surpassed 30,000. Israeli leaders openly bragged they dragged out the war, playing for time until Donald Trump's return. Former National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan, Ambassador Tom Nides, and others defended their unwavering support for Israel, even as they admitted enabling a campaign one U.S. aide described as killing and destroying for the sake of killing and destroying. This is facts. And by the way, who was the person who told you this? Who was telling you that they never put any pressure on Israel and it was a fucking lie? I did. I was completely correct. Now, it's not just about me being correct. It's about the left was correct. Those of us on the left criticizing them, we were totally right. And AOC said, they're working tirelessly around the clock for a ceasefire. And I said at the time that it was the biggest blunder she'd ever made in her entire political career, and it would come back to haunt her. When AOC and Bernie were like, well, we should vote for Biden because Biden should stay in. They were fucking stupid, and I called it at the time. And the main thing that is going to hold people back from AOC, the main way that they're going to be able to wedge people on the left against her is because she did this stupid ass shit, and it's deserved. Let me just say it's fucking deserved. And what did she get for it? Snubbed. She got fucking snubbed. She wanted to be the ranking member on the oversight committee, and she got fucking humiliated. Nancy Pelosi fought from a French hospital bed with a broken hip to keep this geriatric with cancer in office so she could snub AOC. Now, 6 months later, he's having to step down from oversight ranking member anyway. The Democrats. Pathetic. Pathetic. The advice she gets, or if it's her own takes, are fucking terrible. What date was that AOC's speech? AOC's speech to DNC. What date was that? You guys remember? It was August 19th. Oh, give me a second. Was it something like that? I'm looking this up really quick because I want to see what I was saying at the time. I think a lot of people, like, when they see me pull up shit and it's like dead on accurate and you have hindsight, you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That's what happened. If Biden stopped the war in Gaza, Harris is a clear favorite. They keep trying to make a centrist AOC. Objectively, Israel is almost entirely reliant. Here's me debating with somebody saying they can put pressure on Israel. And the people saying there is no pressure. They can't put any pressure on Israel. It's impossible. Here's me debating with people going, yes, they can put a lot more pressure on Israel. Why wasn't there many protests or attempted disruptions at the RNC convention? There's significantly more anti-Palestinian than the Democratic Party. Joe Biden is the current president of the United States. Any other questions? Look at these whiny fucking losers. God, it's me yelling at people about the genocide the entire time. God damn it. Oh, I'll have to find this. Oh God, I have to look at this because it was Harris's speech or accepted speech that made me finally and fully quit supporting her. The most lethal military was so fucking terrible. All right, chat, let's move on to something that isn't me just being in a really bad mood and yelling at Canadians. Can we stop doing that? Can we start laughing at Ethan Klein crying over Hassan's New York Times article? This story made me laugh my ass off more than any other story. So Hassan got a glowing, I wouldn't say glowing, I would say a fair-handed article in the New York Times, and Destiny and Ethan Klein have been melting down over it because they thought for some reason they would be popular. A sex criminal who supports the Israeli genocide and Ozempic poisoned Zionist. They're surprised that the youth don't like them.
Fans of this guy not think, dude, you're 40 years old, you have 3 kids, like, it's Sunday. Just, you know, can't you save this for the show or something? Like, why are you doing this? How can people not recognize how obsessed this is? Yeah, we'll start off with the New York Times article, obviously. We'll get to reading on the New York Times article, obviously, because that's crazy. I read it this morning. It was like 11
minutes. The only thing worse than Ethan Klein is your coverage of him. Well, you won't be able to see that anymore. Bye.
It's long. It's not super long. Article was written like a long ass time ago, but it finally came out. I assume there was some
thanks for your money
setbacks, considering some of my statements about Israel that had to go through the that I suspect I had to go through a rigorous editorial process, which, you know, a rigorous editorial process.
And people can still watch. I don't think they can. I think I turned that off.
That's where they had to figure out how to.
I don't know.
We'll write it.
But that was a joke. Oh well. Should have read the room.
Read it. Can you please cover East crash out over the New York Times? I'm dying laughing at how insane it is. I will probably not do that. I mean, good for him, I guess. I don't know. There are like 8 IG stories. Why is he losing his mind so hard? God damn. Just, bro, it's Sunday, man. Have fun with your family. What are you doing? I don't. Biggest bank CEO might know who you are now. Look at my last message. Something I thought you could find interesting. I work in cybersecurity at one of the largest financial institutions in the world. We recently had 2K emails go to our C execs to revoke Kneecap's visa, and they reference your stream at Coachella. Keck W. Wait, what? You work at cybersecurity at one of the largest financial institutes in the world. We recently had 2,000 plus emails go to our C-level execs to revoke Kneecap's visa, and they reference your stream at Coachella. Dude, like, there is only one speed for people who love Israel, dude, and it's like perma crash out. There's no like reasonable discourse. It's just like, this person said Israel, we have to kill him. Please, can you please like stop him from using financial tools? Can you please stop him from being able to exist in society? It's like, bro, what are you guys doing, man? Dial it back, dude. Dial it back. It's like they don't even care about trying to defend the indefensible. They just immediately go, why would you ever talk positively about someone who has said Israel is a f***ed up country? This is so messed up, dude. How dare you? How freaking dare you? It's an instant situation. It's just like, there's one speed only. What is this? Sorry to drama farm, but he's using a big ass. Okay, dude, you guys are really gonna force me to cover this. What is it? Ethan Klein using a massive emoji in his Insta story to block out the part of the article where Hassan says, I find anti-Semitism to be completely acceptable. Is
Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
Shameless. What a sad little man. Yeah, I don't know why he doesn't just show that. Do you see this? I hope CNN reaches out. Damn, Brian Stelter posted about me? That's crazy. Says the mask on Marxist-Leninist. Okay, listen. Can blast off, please. Oh my God, we'll do it. Louis Theroux settlers. Bro, they had these images side by side. They hate you so much. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is pretty chaotic. It's nowhere. Actually, that's not true. It's pretty chaotic back here still. Not great. Who is this? Everything about this headline and fawning of peace viscerally disgusts me. Why are we yielding the word progressive to people who daydream about Houthis destroying their country? Why spend a whole column sucking up to him? Why call fitness MAGA? Every bit is wretched. Richard Hanania is mad. Oh no. The new liberal media darling who is an out and about eugenicist white supremacist is mad at me for getting positive coverage over the New York Times. I thought he hated the Trump administration. Maybe he should lock in and you know, respect the #1 hater of Donald Trump in perpetuity. Because I've been in the mother trenches, Richard Hanania. Is the article linked anywhere from the New York Times front page or lifestyle section? I can't find it. It's great. It seems like this is pissed off all of the people. Bad Banana called you a toy of the system in his YouTube community post. Yeah. I know. I mean, good. I didn't know that, but I'm not shocked by it. You guys don't have to keep us up to date. No, it's fine. It's all good. All right. Here, we're blasting off, chat. Let's go. What is this? First, introduce your
You know who else got a glowing profile in the New York Times? Castro. You know who else got a glowing profile in the New York Times? Castro. That fucking tool of the system.
My girlfriend the other day, everything seemed chill, but just yesterday she told me you were a horrible person, and the video she watched was from none other than... Dude, I genuinely don't know what to say to people who are so malleable that they watch like one drama YouTube video and go, well, my whole worldview changed about this man. He seems to be a monster. Like, I forget that. It makes me sad that people...
Holy shit, chat. I was looking through my old posts around the convention. The war in Gaza is the single point of risk for the Democrats. Losing to Trump to protect Netanyahu from his crimes would be a world historic disaster. Harris Walls, if they want to win, must break from Biden publicly or they risk losing this election. Ceasefire now. They literally both called for an immediate ceasefire repeatedly. Do keep up. This is the thing I love about liberals the most. They're not only are they always wrong, they're also annoying and stupid. I said, that's bullshit. They're rearming Israel. Literally just announced $20 billion in new arms. Do keep up. Biden and his team have been working around the clock to get a deal done. Trump, meanwhile, was on the phone with Bibi telling him not to do it because it will hurt his chances for election. Trump would raise Gaza and build a golf course. The only chance Palestine has is hashtag Harris Walls. Is this like a real person? Bot detected. Too raw, too real. Kamala HQ. Eric Garland. This has to be a bot, right? This has to be a bot, right? This is not a real. Dean with this is a bot for sure. Are they Canadian? This is exactly the type of person I was talking about earlier, chat. It's genocide. Holy fuck, pathetic calling it a war at this point for someone on the left. I've called it a genocide. I called it a genocide like the day after October 7th. Has Mike ever had an accurate position? For a while, Destiny's followers tried to say that I'd never predicted anything right, which was very odd. See how I have like, I have like, nobody's 100%, but I'm a lot above the average person. Social media, dude.
People are so malleable and so susceptible to like, they just don't ever exercise critical thinking or media literacy. And they certainly don't exercise media literacy when it comes to like, oh, I'm on the front page, dude. What the hell? Okay. People don't exercise media literacy when it comes to mainstream news, which is ironic because that's a big part of what I do, right? This is also part of the reason why I constantly rail on the New York Times, especially the paper of record, the Gray Lady, because my expectation is that they're supposed to uphold a very important standard, especially in a time when people need good news, like good newspaper coverage, good journalism more than ever, right? But a big part of what I do is to, one, go through the misinformation that is all around the internet and parse through it and then try to explain to you what parts of these misinformation, what kind of narratives are developing online, what kind of narratives are developing in the media, and to show you through real journalism and critical thinking what is actually going on, so you can develop a better develop a better framework, right? And this pisses off a lot of people. What? Who's your manager? I want to hire them. You're doing so well. None of this is because of my management. I don't have like a PR person. This is entirely because people reach out, okay? These are journalists who themselves reach out, or editorial teams themselves who reach out. Like, I love my management and my management is great, but this is just people directly reaching out to do interviews. Like, you're calm down. It's the New York Times. You're acting like it's Global Times or CGTN. Okay, calm down. In any case, A Progressive Mind and a MAGA Body. The title is, okay, the editor, Hassan Abihed, who's the editor in the chat, was not wrong. This is the title, because she said the title is kind of cringe, but the article is actually pretty good. And yeah, let's do it. Someone is convinced someone is paying off all these journalists to make puff pieces about you. Yes, dude, it's Qatar. Okay, it's Qatar. I control the media. Okay, I control the media. I have my tentacles in all of these outlets, dude. It can't be that like adult journalists that simply know more than a dumbass YouTube drama slop tube channel have their own convictions and perhaps maybe even see me as an entry point to basically evade the pre-existing censors within these institutions, you know? But yeah, no, it's not that. It's not that, you know, adults that have their own, you know, that have their own perspectives on these issues don't see what I'm saying in 30-second increments.
The metaverse is a new frontier for trolling. One popular YouTuber named Ethan Klein streamed a session last month when he tried to be as sexually explicit as possible while surrounded by kids at the plaza. Hassan in the New York Times, Ethan in the New York Times. The metaverse is a new frontier for trolling. One popular YouTuber named Ethan Klein streamed a session last month when he tried to be as sexually explicit as possible while surrounded by kids in the plaza. He got kicked out and barred for 2 hours. Wild. Wild.
Ethan is a coward. He's a bitch-made coward.
That's wild.
And then place themselves in a paranoid state.
Ethan Klein gets kicked out of the metaverse for 2 hours for being creepy.
Anybody here work for Meta?
Let me start here, Dan.
Okay, all right.
May I grab your...
Are you going to harass me?
Yeah, I mean, there we go. A little of that. Right? I mean, you don't mind, do you?
Dang.
Excuse me, we're having a private moment. A little of this?
Oh, my bad, my bad. Oh, my God.
What do you think?
I'll let you guys do your thing.
Little of
You know
this?
what? I have a different idea how to watch.
So Ethan Klein understands that he's in front of children and he engages in sexually explicit behavior as an adult with children of his own. It's like every single person who hates Hassan and me is a sex criminal. It's without fail. Like, as soon as I know someone doesn't like me, I know they got skeletons in the closet.
I know how to watch them.
A little reach around? You want to reach around? Both sides? Or just do a little reach around here? You like one? You like a finger in the butt, Dan?
Oh.
Write that down.
Oh my God. What
Wait,
is going on?
Dan, you like this?
Yeah, what are you doing?
Buddy, you're sexy. You like this, bro? Oh, mama. Bro.
This is fucking disgusting. I gotta turn it off. I didn't know. He is genuinely what's the comedy? Can someone explain the comedy to me? Maybe I'm too autistic to understand the comedy. The comedy is that an adult man is having a sexually suggestive and explicit behavior in front of kids. It's shocking. Is that so? It's funny for an adult to do sexual stuff in front of kids, and that makes it funny with his employee that he forced to be there. I don't know. Maybe Israeli humor is different than American humor. I don't know why. I don't know why that could be, but because he's been in America for a while, so I don't know.
And instead understand what I'm trying to do. Yeah, I control the media. So a progressive mind and a MAGA body article headline is not the best.
They changed it.
Okay?
They changed it to a progressive mind in a manosphere body, which is a better title. Ho ho, more crime in Canada, more taxes, more immigrants, woo. Don't ban that guy. Don't ban that guy. It's very funny seeing a Canadian chud. A Canadian chud malding? That's my dream.
Article headline is not, you know, it's kind of weird because I feel like MAGA body, that's going to piss off a lot of people. I think what they meant there wasn't necessarily like your physical body. I think what they were saying is like MAGA packaging. You know what I mean? I think that would have been probably a better title for this instead of a progressive mind and a MAGA body. If they said progressive mind and a MAGA package or something, or in a bro package or a manosphere package, that makes a little bit more sense. But
Mike was roasting us lightly. Oh, I was roasting you heavily. Then a chud comes along and goes, the Lebs are going to ruin us. It's very funny. Legitimately, if Canada does successfully build a bunch of housing and is more open for immigrants, and is more open to, you know, building up their intellectual freedom, that'll make them a significantly stronger country, you know, like, but they have to solve their housing shortage. That's the big problem with Canada is the housing shortage. And I don't think that they're actually going to pursue policies that are going to fix it, but we'll see.
It condensed the headline. And I'm going to explain to you guys how these sorts of news bits happen, how these sorts of puff pieces or profiles take place. Hopefully this will be educational. I'll tell you like what, some parts that are left out of it versus like what the editorial process looks like to the best of my ability. I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm not, I'm not talking to the journalist who wrote this piece beyond whenever they call in for follow-ups, right?
A progressive mind in a body made for the manosphere. This article is by Jack Crosby and read by an automated voice.
Jack, you should read it.
Articles written by Jack Crosby. He's very cool. He's a very chill guy. He is, he's a leftist, obviously. Mostly writes in the Rolling Stones. Written all around, however. And
Hassan just exposing my man. Just let him be a journalist.
Originally, the article is supposed to be like a major profile, but then obviously a lot of these other articles start coming in. Slate.com drops an article, and then obviously that kind of like cooks their angle because like everyone is trying to go for the same angle. And then the New York Magazine piece came out, and that was a very long profile. So then that causes them to like push it back, restructure the article a little bit, and ultimately you arrive at this framing, right? But in any case, remember, the journalist doesn't choose the title. And the journalist doesn't even actually choose, in most circumstances, like journalists will have feedback on which direction the article will go in, but they don't necessarily control the way that the article is going to be presented, right? That's the editorial team's decision. And let's be real, the New York Times' editorial team is not necessarily, now this is the style section, so it's different, but the New York Times' broader editorial team is probably not super fond of me. Like they probably see me as an ally for being a unique figure in the space that is a progressive figure, like unconditionally progressive figure, if not a radical one, in a space that is dominated by far right extremism. Outside of that, they do see that this is like I'm clearly doing something that is unique enough for them to be like, let's offer this some coverage. But here it is. Hassan Piker pumps iron, likes weapons, and wears pearls. His brand of masculinity is one of many fans online and has been a useful vehicle for his politics. Hassan Piker has become a star on Twitch and YouTube for hosting hours-long video streams that cover cultural topics like fitness, gaming, and fashion, as well as his socialist politics. By Jack Crosby. Hassan Piker thinks being a man is simple. Like many of his successful internet personalities who appeal to a generation of young men, Mr. Piker, a 33-year-old Twitch and YouTube streamer, is a bro. He likes weapons, inhales supplements, uses nicotine pouches, and ruminates endlessly on the legacy of LeBron James. But unlike many of his contemporaries, Mr. Piker, an avowed socialist, is just as at ease dressing in French-made drag as he is on a basketball court.
This is why I don't have fun. Because you're not allowed to have fun as a political commentator. If you do anything fun, you're going to have to hear about it forever and ever and ever. And I don't care how normal you are and how secure, it becomes tiresome to hear the same old shit over and over and over again. Like, who gives a shit about that, quite frankly, mid French-made drag they did on one stream as a bit for 5 seconds? Who gives a fuck? It's so tiring to hear the same fucking thing over and over and over again. Just shut the fuck up about it.
In the 6 years since he started his daily online broadcast about culture and politics, Mr. Piker has become a streaming star. He has about 4.5 million followers combined on YouTube and Twitch.
Excuse you, it was fire? I'm not saying it wasn't fire, but at this point, it's like, you can't go 5 minutes without us seeing it.
The platform wildly popular with Americans who came of age during the COVID-19 pandemic. In the most reductive way, it just comes down to confidence. That's what people are talking about when it comes to masculinity, Mr. Piker said in an interview. They're talking about confidence. That confidence carries over into Mr. Piker's discussions of politics. On his streams, conversations about dating, gaming, or exercising often turn into rants supporting organized labor, universal health care, LGBTQ rights. He will just as frequently pivot from criticizing the Democratic Party or the Israeli government to slamming right-wing comedians. This fluency between culture and ideology has led many to brand Mr. Piker a Joe Rogan of the left. if Mr. Rogan had a mop top and painted his nails. Mr. Piker in his studio earlier this year, he knows his success on camera has been partly aided by the...
I just find it so interesting how here we are in the article, and the thing that they push the most is like the gender shit that Hassan doesn't even really do that much of. He's actually a pretty standard, straightforward, straight guy. But it's like he wore a French maid dress and he painted his nails, and it's like it's just so like you guys probably are not affected by this, but I could hear boomers reading this, right? Imagine your boomer relative reading this, and now the like decision to harp on that shit is a little bit more explainable.
Way he looks. Mr. Piker's success on camera, in some parts, has been aided by the fact that he is, by conventional standards, a very handsome man. He's 6 feet 4.
Someone, does anybody have the Ethan Klein post? First of all, let me just say, it'd be like, people are like, could you imagine what Hassan's viewership would be like if he wasn't super hot? And it's like, yeah, the Central Committee is right there. The Central Committee is right there. Like, you don't have to guess. You could just say the Central Committee stream is right there and go, oh. And it's like, it's not that I'm not, it's not that some people don't find me attractive. Of course they do. But I'm not a model, right? And it's very funny because this is my favorite part about this. This is an A/B test, right? I think I have some advantages over Hassan as a streamer, and they appeal to me, and they appeal to my what I find to be important, right? And other people, if you find those things important too, you might like my stream, maybe even like it a little bit more. But fundamentally, I would say it's fair to say that Hassan and I have very similar takes. Maybe I'm slightly more pro-China. Maybe I'm slightly more anti-Democrat than him. Maybe I'm like half a step to the left of him on a bunch of stuff. But largely, I find myself agreeing with him on almost everything. But people will yell at me for shit, and they will obsess over me over shit, and then Hassan will say the same exact thing, and those people will not acknowledge it. They'll keep hyperfixating on me over a thing that Hassan completely agrees with me on while being fans of Hassan. The best example of this ever is the fucking stupid Harry Potter game, where I said, if somebody plays the Harry Potter game, they're probably just a normie who doesn't know about J.K. Rowling being a TERF. And that I think it's bad optics to go into like random people's streams that are playing the Harry Potter game and scream at them that they're a TERF, right? And the better thing to do would be to do a fundraiser for trans rights, where you got a bunch of the largest streamers together to play the game, and then they raised money for trans issues as a way of saying fuck you to J.K. Rowling, right? I think that was Hassan's idea. They ended up not doing it because Radlibs went wild. The Radlibs went wild. And I said the Radlibs were wrong about that. People legitimately hated me for that, which fundamentally was, oh, Hassan's idea is a good idea. I never played the game. I never purchased the game. I don't give a shit about Harry Potter. In fact, I think Harry Potter sucks, to be quite honest. Read another book is my mantra. And so some people like hated me for that, and now they're big Hassan fans. Like, they left me and became really big Hassan fans. And I'm like, bitch, the entire reason you molded on me was defending Hassan take. That's what I'm talking about.
4 inches tall and built like a professional athlete with a square jaw, a beard, and a head of thick, dark hair. It's the one aspect that many of my haters can't shake, Mr. Piker said.
Okay, motherfucker. I have a head of thick, dark hair, okay? This guy is on 8 fucking hair supplements.
His appearance on a Twitch broadcast last year, they can't turn around and be like, you're not hot. His physique is the result of an intense fitness regimen that on a sunny morning in January involved repeated sets of squats with a 275-pound barbell, Romanian deadlifts, and walking lunges. Dude, that's it. I'm in the paper of record as being a hottie. It's over. It's ironic because, like a lot of those Sigma Grindset guys are constantly talking about regimens and being an alpha dog, Mr. Piker said, referring to subjects of memes about masculinity that are commonplace in right-wing discourse online, I do live that life, he added. But then I have the diametrically opposite politics. Protected by jock.
He's saying he lives the life of an alpha dog, bro.
Jock insurance. Indeed.
What are your thoughts on Scrapple? I like maple syrup on my Scrapple. Extra crispy.
Thousands of viewers may watch his videos for his political views, but so many also tune in for the view of Mr. Piker himself, whose social media profiles are littered with suggestive images of his muscly body in states of undress. What the heck is this? That's crazy. Or thirst traps, as the pictures are known. Some of his fans scrape, screenshot, clip, and repackage them into fan cams that travel across the internet, glorifying Mr. Piker's appearance and indirectly his beliefs. Emma Morgan.
I love that they went and interviewed all the fan cam creators who are horny for Hassan. God damn it.
27-year-old researcher is among them. A lot of people are just really shallow online, Ms. Morgan said. There's a stigma of, if you care about marginalized people, if you care about these issues, you must be a weak basement-dwelling dude. If I have to make a fan cam to radicalize people, she added, then I will. The Hassan Abi Thirst Talk Clips Industrial Complex gets a shout out here. Lit up Emma. Mr. Piker approaches getting dressed with the same meticulousness as he does working out. Each day he streams, he typically posts a selfie of his outfit before he starts. His clothing choices can sometimes be as provocative as his opinions. On a recent trip to Japan, Mr. Piker wore a tight French maid's outfit, a pair of fuzzy cat ears, and a demure string of pearls while streaming from one of the country's maid cafes. During a Twitch stream in 2023, Mr. Piker asked viewers to participate in a live demographic survey. Those who did offered a sense of his audience. About 70% of the participants identified as male, more than 60% identified as being younger than 30, and about 40% identified as having a sexual orientation other than straight. Mr. Piker benefits from jock insurance. I've never heard this before, but it makes perfect sense, by the way, after I read the article. Said Tristan Bridges, a sociologist who studies masculinity and gender at the University of California, Santa Barbara. The term is used to describe how men with a lot of masculine gender capital are generally given more leeway to do things like challenge norms and make mistakes, he added. For an appearance at the 2024 TwitchCon convention, Mr. Piker wore a tank top that showed off his arms. The jocks...
Okay, a chatter sent me this piece of fan art, and I want to show it to you because goddamn is this a banger. This is such a banger. Although you gave me blue eyes, I'm more hazel, but it's okay. You don't get that everything we have, people have fought and bled for. You've never been taught to fight for anything. In fact, most of you have been taught that fighting for something is a failure in and of itself, that fighting is wrong in some sort of generic sense, and that sacrificing yourself for a cause is quaint. God damn, what a quote. That's the biggest problem we have. This is the biggest problem we have, seriously, is that people think that when you're yelling or when you're mad or when you're fighting, that you're doing something wrong. And that is the failure in and of itself. How is his writing this fire? This is me speaking off the cuff. What do you mean? What do you mean writing? I said this out loud spontaneously. I didn't write shit. Why are you screaming? Why are you not screaming? Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people, oh my God, these Canadians, I need them out of my face. Jesus Christ. I think a lot of people are just not taught that it's okay to be wrong. And so I'm doing an Ethan Klein right now. I sniffled. Chat, Vio has brought me food. This is what Vio has brought me. Unasked for, by the way. We got ourselves some mango spears here. We got some blueberries, some strawberries, and it looks like a waffle. Thank you, Vio. Yo, thank you. Those are blackberries. Yes, you're right. Blackberries. Sorry. Did I say blueberries? The Discord made a new shirt designed on this article. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hassan said that he didn't fluff during his dick pic. He claimed to be unfluffed. There's never been more of a cap fucking statement than that. Yeah, dude, I just took a picture with my cock meat, the center of the camera photo, but I didn't fluff it. It naturally just was poking out like that. And I was furious because as a member of the grower brigade, like going out there, the showers, they have it easy. They're the false advertisers, okay? You know, with a shower, nothing happens. It just kind of stands up. There's no expansion, right? So they have all this privilege of being showers. And then when it comes down to business, there's no improvement. Whereas with the growers, most of the time we're just chilling here, false advertised. And then when it gets down to business, we're there. And so I just want to point out that he's also got shower privilege. Growers rise. Growers rise up. Exactly. It's more impressive going from 2 to 7 than 4 to 7. Exactly. That's my point. Also, like, you think about it practically, you know, it's more comfortable to be a grower. You're a 2. No, I was just saying hypothetically. Hypothetically, it's better to go from 2 to 7. I think, but what's more likely is like 3.5, 4 to 7. Not 2 to 7. 2 to 7 is impossible. What are you talking about? Hey, as long as you can make it last, that's what counts. I think what makes it count is that you're appropriate. It's not lasting long that's good. It's that it's having control that's good. Because sometimes you just want a quickie, you know? And if you have that control where you could just get it business done fast, that's good. And then if there's other times when you want to stretch it out, having the control is good. You know, you want to be able to fit it in.
Are allowed to break the rules and not have a consequence for it, or not have consequences for it, Mr. Bridges said, adding that Mr. Piker's idea of masculinity was less rigid than more traditional versions centered on the belief that America was easier and better when everybody played the roles they were designed to play. Jordan Dean, a 19-year-old gender studies student who follows Mr. Piker, said that the part that he plays up the most is definitely that he's a bro, cisgender, heterosexual white guy. Mr. Dean, a transgender man, added, watching him be comfortable painting his nails, wearing dresses is not revolutionary things, but he's showing that it's okay to be.
Here we fucking go again. Here we fucking go again. I mean, like, again, it isn't that I disapprove of this stuff. I just think it's unremarkable. And I think it's bigoted to constantly harp on it. Am I being weird? Like, am I being weird? Because it, like, honestly, being like unconventional as gender presentation is not Hassan Piker.
Be a cis guy.
Like, I'm not saying, like let's be honest. He's a conventionally masculine man 99.9% of the time. Like, he's not a gender challenging person. Like, it's kind of annoying that it's put in there so many fucking, in my opinion. If it was like his thing, and it feels like kind of a form of soft bigotry to me. Not to be woke of the day. It's just like very annoying. Like, am I wrong? Am I being crazy? Central Committee is one of the biggest streamers in the world, but his dick isn't that big. My dick's great, honestly. My dick is awesome. I'm very happy with my dick. Thank you. You tell me what happens when you hit 40. Let's see how you're performing. Won't be on my level, I guarantee you that.
An experiment with gender presentation, gains, guns, and gay culture. Mr. Piker typically streams from a studio at his home in West Hollywood, California, a modern townhouse he shares with Kaya, his Bernese Mountain Dog mix that weighs more than 100 pounds. He can spend up to 10 hours a day recording in a studio where there are no fewer than 10 swords and shells festooned with
I wouldn't say
with
she looks Bernese. She's more like a Mongolian. What is it? Mongolian Shepherd? What is the like what she looks like the most? Tibetan Mastiff. That's what it is. Yeah. Thank you. Tibetan Mastiff. She's mostly Tibetan. Secondly, Chow Chow. Thirdly, Bernese. Honestly, she looks beautiful. I'm a huge Kaya fan, honestly.
Game art and other knickknacks. There's also a black assault rifle, which Mr. Piker was quick to note was fake. It's airsoft, he said. I like guns, but I would never keep one in the house. Or would I?
Wait, what? I've got guns. If somebody tries to roll up on me, they're going to be standing in the funnel. Those of you who know, know.
While Rogan's podcasts typically feature interviews with guests that meander into politics, Mr. Piker often approaches the topic alone on solo streams. Although he has recorded with the likes of Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont and Representative AOC of New York, last year he streamed from the DNC. Mr. Piker disagrees with the comparisons to Rogan and has characterized what each does as being completely different. His marathon streaming sessions are fueled.
Pay my rent. That's not flex. That's hobo dating. We've all done it. That is not a flex. Homosexuality is important. I've never done that. That means you're punching below your weight.
Partly, this is one of the things that I actually said to the journalist was I ironically am the inverse Joe Rogan in the sense that sometimes what I'm doing is quite literally addressing the misinformation that
my headphones suck. Don't even ask. Honestly, they're fine. There's some Sony shit. It's not that they're that bad. It's just they're nothing special. In fact, I want to replace them.
Joe Rogan is spreading.
Are you an AR or AK guy? This has a right answer, and it's not a popular answer, but it is the right answer. The answer is AR. Now, a lot of people are going to be butthurt over me saying that, but here's the reality. This isn't 1985. You don't live in a former Soviet country. You do not live. You are a American in America, where people are stamping out ARs for basically nothing. They're now cheaper than AKs. There's been all sorts of modifications that have been made. And most importantly, the AR is an incredibly moddable platform. And there's the optics that we have now put anything that's available in the AK completely to shame. If you don't like the 5.56, there's plenty of different chambers for the AR platform. And the 5.56 is it's one of the most common rounds. So it's incredibly easy to find. And you can practice with the 2.23. All I'm saying is, from the point of view of practicality of the platform, and not the aesthetics, not the LARPing value, which is fun and great, at this point in history, in America, the AR is just better. Now, the AK is more fucking drippy. The AK is cooler. But I'm talking about the actual practical use.
Which is part of the reason why whenever people say like, oh, you're the left Joe Rogan, I'm like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? Because a big part of what I do, and a big part of the reason why a lot of journalists actually appreciate what I do, is because there is so much misinformation online, contrary to what like all of the annoying liberals say about how I'm the Alex Jones of the left or whatever. If you actually were to listen to journalists, they have a very different attitude about what I do, because they know that a big chunk of my work is to specifically look at misinformation online, address that misinformation, correct the record, and actually show the real news coverage on the matter. Now, of course, real journalists understand that. They see the value in that. They recognize it. Drama slop tubers will turn around and say, I'm, spreading fake news or
Comes
whatever.
with iron sights. Here's my opinion. You should have iron sights as a backup. But this is 2025. You need to test out a variety of optics. Optics are what make these rifles usable. You need to play around with an ACOG, play around with holographic, play around with a red dot, play around with magnifiers, see what is comfortable for you. Be prepared, iron sights are dog shit. It's not that you can't use them, they're just inferior. In before somebody tries to disagree who doesn't know anything about guns. You're wrong.
But what if your battery dies, Mike?
I have a spare battery.
Who are you supposed to trust in this process? His marathon streaming sessions are fueled partly by cartons of Zyn, cans of Diet Dr. Pepper, and energy drinks. Mr. Piker, who fasts daily as a part of his fitness routine, usually consumes only coffee until around 2 p.m., when he has his first meal of precisely 1.1 pounds of roasted chicken breast with low-carb pita, meze, and sauces. He says his persona is built upon authentic interest in fitness, culture, style, and politics that he has had throughout his life. Mr. Piker was in a fraternity at Rutgers University, yes, but he also has been a lifelong gamer and anime fan. He moved to the Los Angeles area in 2013 after graduating from Rutgers and telling his parents, both college professors, that he intended to apply to law school. Instead, he got a job in ad sales at the Young Turks, a progressive news network founded by his uncle, the pundit Cenk Uygur. Mr. Piker does not deny that he is a Nepo baby, he said. A perfect society is one in which those types of advantages don't matter, he added.
Yeah, but we don't live in one, though.
That I also said that is what I am fighting for. Like this would not, so fast. Scroll back up to that dirty desk pic, bro. Yeah, it's nasty. I know. Shaky Gurga made me, which is not something that I hide, obviously, but it'll be funny when people go, oh my God, he admitted being a Nepo baby. It's like, yeah, I always do. Hello, welcome. By 2016, he was regularly appearing in videos on the Young Turks' social media accounts. He started streaming on Twitch 2 years later. Fashion, he said, is something he has loved since he was too big. He was a too big teen growing up in Turkey, where he inhaled American culture through TV shows like The Boondocks. Mr. Piker, who is straight, is aware that wearing pearls and painting his nails could suggest otherwise, inviting attention from gay men. Last year, when a gay content creator asked Mr. Piker if he was an ally in an interview at a Pride event in Los Angeles, he jokingly said no, then playfully added, "I'm a foe." Mr. Piker then spanked the interviewer, who was wearing an American flag Speedo swimsuit, in front of a bus emblazoned with a logo for Grindr, the gay dating app. Of his image, he said,
"Stupid sexy Hassan.
I don't feel the need to present myself in any way that I am not. Always unfiltered, sometimes extreme." Here we go. You have to have a little...
How is he extreme? Okay, here we go. We're extreme.
Bit of sauce in there. You know what I mean? You have to have a little bit. It can't all be glaze and praise. You gotta... It's the New York Times after all. So let's take a look. Now it gets juicy. Mr. Piker is similarly unfiltered with his viewpoints. Some can be extreme. This is the part that I wanted to mention as far as like, this is the editorial control kicking in the conversation to present it in a balanced fashion. I don't even think this is like off base, by the way. There's only one part of this entire article that I, understand why the New York Times
I'm letting Hassan read me the article so I don't have to.
The board takes these sorts of decisions on that I obviously disagree with. But overall, I think this is pretty on the level. Right? A vocal critic of U.S. foreign policy in the Middle East, Mr. Piker has been labeled anti-American by people across the political spectrum for saying the country deserved the September 11 attacks. His recent accusations that Israel is committing genocide in Gaza and his diatribes against the Zionist movement have led many supporters of Israel, including liberals like Representative Richie Torres of New York, to call Mr. Piker anti-Semitic. Did you catch the part that I don't think is... This was, and I know for a fact, so there's a full quote from me that Jack got, and I was actually very interested to see how this quote would make
Comrade Customs, you're a gunsmith? Message me immediately.
Its way into the article, and I'm willing to bet that there was probably a lot of back and forth, and it most likely went all the way up the editor chain until they finally arrived at this version as an appropriate way to put in print. Like, because I straight up, you know me, it's not like I, hold back. Do you remember your full quote? My full quote was something along the lines of like, Israel is an apartheid state that is committing a genocide. Something things that I say all the time, things that are the truth. And this is not just my assessment. This is the assessment of international organs of justice, like all this stuff, right? But what's important here is that the New York Times is, they're going to put that in there because that's my opinion. And this is a profile on me, obviously, and it's a part of who I am. But it's interesting that televised baby Holocaust. No, I'm not going to give a quote to the New York Times where I say this is a live streamed child Holocaust. Like, there's a difference, right? Yeah. Ali Abunimah also had this to say: in this generally flattering profile, New York Times labels Hassan the Hun extreme for calling Israel's genocide of Palestinians what it is. Note the quotation marks, which this poisonous propaganda rag uses to try to mainstream genocide denial. So that was the two parts in this that I found to be interesting. What I mean is, and this is not like up to the journalist, like 100%. This is not like the journalist himself is not making this decision. Okay. Straight up. This is, as I've said before, there's always a disparity between the newsrooms and the teams and the editorial team in most publications. And this is a classic example of that.
110K watching Austin show? Hell yeah, brother. That's fucking crazy.
It says encoding in process, new gooch boofing for the settlers, doco. Please react this on only 4 minutes. Can you please stop spamming my Chinese heart AI cover? I'm not going to react to it right now in the midst of me reading this New York Times article. So that's the thing. It's not my accusations that Israel is committing a genocide in air quotes. And I think that right there is the New York Times is like seasoning where they're like, this is fit to print. Like this is his real genuine belief, but we can't put it in there. And his diatribes against the Zionist movement have led many supporters. And by the way, to be fair, like they were much lighter on me than I thought they would be, because I was definitely a little worried when doing this initially, because, the New York Times is, and this has nothing to do with like the actual journalists that work there, right? But the New York Times broadly is, them and the BBC are pretty awful on the issue of Israel. I find anti-Semitism to be completely unacceptable, Mr. Piker said on a call in April. I find the conflation of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism to be very dangerous, he added. I talked more on this as well, aside from this. His video streams are peppered with expletives, vulgarities, and other language that many have disavowed in the name of political correctness. He blocks commenters for what he sees as overt hate speech, but not for speaking critically when they challenge his views on topics like transgender rights or the war in Gaza. Some have accused him of sharing misinformation on streams, but Mr. Piker says his aim is to provide factual information along with his own views. Jon Favreau, a founder of the center-left podcast Pod Save America and his liberal parent company Crooked Media, said Mr. Piker's willingness to engage with viewpoints outside his own was another trait that might appeal to young men who had swung towards the right. He wants to reach those people too, Mr. Favreau said. But the way Mr. Piker presents himself could work against him, said Reese Peck, a professor of media culture at the College of Staten Island and the author of Fox Populism, Branding Conservatism as Working Class. He's more events in Soho than he is Eastern Kentucky. As Mr. Peck put it, that bicoastal stylish hip masculinity has its limitations to appeal to a broad array of young men, especially working class young men. Now,
Hip. Notice how it's always these Staten Island coastal elites that are talking about the coastal elites. This is actually a take I got from Hassan, so prepare yourselves. One of the takes I got from Hassan is that right-wingers in left-wing states are the most fascist adjacent because they're also the most queer coded. They're the guys who call themselves Bronze Age pervert and shit. Whereas like right wingers in like Louisiana are more normal guys that are just culturally put in the Republican Party. Whereas if you are a right winger in a blue state, you're soy as fuck. And like one of the things that's happening to the Republican Party is that they're soying themselves out because these right wingers from Canada and the right wingers from blue states are these weird, you know, as I said, Bronze Age pervert type people. The soy right. And this Staten Island professor is a fucking soy writer. You're from New York City. What the fuck do you know about working class young men in Eastern Kentucky? What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know shit. You're just fantasizing.
Now, what I find really funny is I don't really go to any events at all, let alone events in Soho, but I get what he's trying to say. Like he's saying I'm a hoity-toity bicoastal elitist, which is true. And it's not something that I hide.
But
right?
You're not though. You're not though. The professor is, you are more normal to regular people than the hoity-toity guy. You watch anime. Look at these Reddit shelves. You think these are the Reddit shelves of someone hoity-toity? They're like a World of Warcraft collector's box. Did you even play World of Warcraft? I think that's what this is. Maybe it's not. It looks like it. Like, what the fuck? This is Reddit 101. This has nothing to do with hoity-toity bicoastal elites. The fuck are you talking about?
Ironically enough, it's not something that I hide at all. I like what I like, and I don't like what I don't like, and I'm very vocal about it. I always see that as being honest. The irony, of course, is that none of these guys that actually appeal to a lot of the people that live in Eastern Kentucky are in any way, shape, or form from that background anyway, right? And there's plenty of people from Eastern Kentucky, ironically enough, in this community, as a matter of fact. So that's what's really interesting about it, because like it's not like Theo Vaughn. Yeah, Theo Vaughn has that background for sure, Louisiana boy, right? But nowadays, it's not like he's mucking it up and going in the swamp and wrestling gators, right? He's a super famous Hollywood celebrity. You see what I'm saying? And the same goes for Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is an incredibly wealthy person, right? Andrew Schultz and There
were a ton of Midwest chatters saying how Hassan really appeals to them more than any right-winger expert, because there's no such thing as this bullshit culture. This like idea of the culture having these different segments is just not true anymore. At least not in the way that people are describing it. It isn't regional anymore. It's individualized. The segment you're in is based on your algorithm and the communities you associate with, which are international in nature. This is something that I think people are having a struggle with, which is that all politics is international. Like the abundance movement guys are allied with Starmer, and they're allied with Macron, and they're allied with Schultz. Like there is an international neoliberal class. There's an international like right-wing populist group, led by Trump. The centrist neoliberals are led by Obama. And then you have this like progressive international, which is forming itself up with a variety of different possible leaders there, but it isn't as developed, especially in the West, right? So these are different political strains, and it's the same thing with content, right? Like you go to the type of content that appeals to you. It isn't in no way is Hassan a bicoastal elite in the sense that this guy means it. Now, if you're talking about he literally is an elite and he literally is bi-coastal, or he is, you know, on one of the coasts. That is objectively true. But he's not part of that kind of status conscious, liberal, institutional type that person is describing. That's much more like Obama or George Clooney or somebody like that. That's not Hassan. Maybe Hassan aspires to that one day. I don't know, but it's not where he is now.
That entire podcast is
He's not a brunch liberal. He's not in the bi-coastal elite bubble. Exactly. It's just nonsense. Ironically, it's a bi-coastal elite trying to put their shit on him by comparing him to them.
Directly out of the what is the fucking place? The hotel I stayed at as well. It's like the coolest place in New York, or was the coolest place in New York for a little bit. Dime Square, thank you. So none of these guys are actually, you know, directly broadcasting. None of these guys are directly broadcasting from what do you call it? Eastern Kentucky. Oh, you stayed at 9 Orchard, bro? Yeah, I did. Okay. That bi-coastal stylish hip masculinity has a limitation to appeal to a broad array of young men, especially working class young men. This part I actually disagree with, because this also, if I were to present myself as something I'm not, then it would be inauthentic. It would also go against like my whole appeal. You know, what you see is what you get. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, there's motherfuckers in the Midwest that like anime too. You know, that's it. I'm not going to flip as an Eastern Kentuckian myself. You get along with us more than others. My Eastern KY peeps, yeah, that's what I mean. Like Trillbillies is a podcast of Eastern Kentuckians who are straight up in Kentucky, right? But I would suspect that, and I love those boys, they're fantastic, right? But I would suspect that, you know, someone like Joe Rogan or Andrew Schultz probably is more prominent in the content consumption of like average Joes.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that they're not bi-coastal elites. Rogan is literally a Californian. And by the way, moving to Austin, you're still bi-coastal elite coded. Like, you're just dodging taxes. It's like going, I moved from LA to Miami. I'm so much more in touch with regular working class Americans. It's like, no, like, you know, moving from New York City to Honolulu, you're still in the bi-coastal elite sphere. You just did a second tier of it. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, Austin is the Los Angeles of Texas. Exactly. In more senses of the word than you probably even intended.
That are linemen or working.
Okay, first of all, person who added Hassan in my chat, did you mean me? Did you watch the rehearsal? I watched an episode of the rehearsal. Can I give you guys my rehearsal take real quick? Can I give you my rehearsal take real quick? I was dying laughing. Almost every other line, I was absolutely bubbling in laughter. I was howling. I fucking hated it. I was unironically belly laughing. I despised it. Now you're probably like, wait, it's a comedy and you were laughing your ass off and you were laughing the entire time? How can you hate it? I don't do this often, but this is a wild take that I have to put out there. I legitimately think that that is an example of comedy, which, while I understand the argument that it has more depth than I'm about to say it does, I would say it's probably the most mean-spirited comedy I've ever seen. And it appealed to, I felt like a bad person because I found it so funny. Like, it was legitimately, I was laughing at myself because by finding it funny, I am a bad person. That's what I also found that funny. So I was laughing. That's how good it is. I was laughing at the fact that I was laughing because it shows that I'm a bad person. That's how bad it is. And not only that, I started laughing about all sorts of shit. Like, there was this part where he talks about how he did the rehearsal for the rehearsal spoilers. He was going to convince this guy to do something, and to convince him that the rehearsal would work, he did a rehearsal for the conversation. And I was like, I started laughing because I was thinking to myself, this show is probably going to convince 500,000 paranoid schizophrenics of their most wild delusions. Like, this is going to cause serious mental health decline in this country. I was laughing about the thousands of innocent people whose lives were going to be ruined because the Nathan's rehearsal thing confirmed to them because it seemed almost perfectly calibrated to be speaking to schizophrenics and make them insane. And then, so I was laughing about that. And then I was laughing at the fact that I was laughing at that because that's actually evil. That's an evil thought. Why am I laughing at that? I think that it is so good, it's bad. Like, I don't usually, because it's a very conservative impulse to say stuff like that, to be like, oh, this piece of art is incredibly you know, it does all this, but it causes harm to society. I legitimately felt like I was doing, like, this content was harmful. Like, it felt harmful. It felt psychologically harmful and wrong. Now, I think one of the things is that apparently it's not real, it's scripted, but the verisimilitude is so good. I don't know. It just makes me... It's a guilty laugh. That's how I best describe it. If you would have just have a guilty laugh where the jokes just hit, the double entendres hit, like everything hits, the delivery is perfect. If you want comedy, but it is a revealing of your own character being shit, watch The Rehearsal. Can I recommend it? No. Because as I said before, it feels like it's doing harm to society. That's how good it is. Like, he's actually... he's like a psychopathic, sociopathic hilarity. It's so funny. I'm sure he's a really good guy. I don't, you know, because I think you have to be either the most evil human being ever, directly from hell, or you're a really good person who's so in touch and has such good self-knowledge that you could wield it like this, like a knife. It's like a scalpel slicing through everybody's bullshit. You know, it's one of those things where I feel like the more you think about it as you're watching it, the more it's like the joke's on you. That's the other thing. I kept thinking as I was watching it that the joke was on me. Like, that Nathan is like watching it. He's like, he's making it knowing that people like me will watch it and will be like, we're the joke for him. It's insane. I don't know how else to put it. It just makes me feel a certain type of way. And is it good? No, it's not a good feeling. But also it's not like, and when I say not a good feeling, I mean that in all the senses. Like, it's the laughs are guilty. I feel like a bad person. And I feel like I'm the butt of the joke while watching a show that's making me laugh a lot. Like, that is some fucking art right there. It really, if you're looking for something that's going to knock you askew, then I recommend it. And you probably need that. I know I don't. Definitely watch The Curse. You will love it for exactly this reason. Plus, it just amazingly acted and well done. Ugh. I don't know. It's just, I don't know how else to. I tried to describe it. I don't know. I tried to describe it. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Like, does anybody watched it or watched at least the first episode know what I'm talking about? Do you guys get what I mean? You're the only person who described how I felt. Yeah. I feel like just unabashedly liking it means you didn't get it. I kind of feel like if you're just like, I love it, it was so great, it's so awesome, ha ha ha, I feel like you didn't get it. I think you like were kind of very surface level and you weren't really thinking about it. Because it like folds back on itself where you're just like, this is terrible. You're doing harm. I feel like this is woke of the day territory. What? I was literally saying that it's good. I wasn't trying to cancel him. I was saying that the art was fucking, it fucked me up. I'm saying that it was so good, it was bad. That's my point. I wasn't saying that Nathan is like, needs to be canceled or anything. I'm talking about, I don't think it was that deep. I think it was that deep. The second episode really solidifies this is doing more harm than good. The second episode is worse? I only saw the first episode. The second episode is worse?
In construction. In
chat, if you enjoy the content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach it to your Twitch account. Yada, yada, yada. We're 40 whatever subs away from the sub goal. You know, if you could support the stream, that would be great. I promise to be nicer to Canadians. Chat, should I unban the chatter that I banned earlier? I don't like to ban chatters. I get not liking Ethan Klein. I get not liking the Ethan Klein coverage. I really do. I appreciate that. I just feel like that chatter has been here for a very long time. And I feel bad for them. Not the liberal one, the other one. The guy who was just complaining about Ethan Klein and hating Ethan Klein. He's like, I'm tired. I hate Ethan Klein. I love your stream, but I hate Ethan Klein, blah, 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 blah.
That, right? Like those guys are certainly not more real Appalachians than the Trillbillies boys, right? They're from the heart of Appalachia. So my point is, the working class and their consumption doesn't necessarily like the working class and their consumption is not looking for like optics, and that is not who I am anyway. It would be inauthentic if I were to present myself as like, you know, wearing cowboy boots and working a field type. That's what a lot of Republicans do. That's like what Ted Cruz does, you know, Yale graduate, puts on the snakeskin, acts like he's a real salt of the earth kind of guy, flies off to Cancun when his state is collapsing. Clancy Campbell, a 20-year-old fan of Mr. Piker who is studying to become an esthetician, Mr. Piker is studying to become his right-leaning counterparts could be boiled down to the amount of care and where you put it. With the right-wing media and stuff, they care almost too much about issues that don't matter, he said. With Hassan, it's like he cares, but in the right places. Alec Flynn, a 28-year-old comedian in Los Angeles whose material draws from his life as a straight man, said he did not religiously follow Mr. Piker, but he understood the appeal of Mr. Piker's brand of masculinity. The more authentically yourself you are, the more effective you will be, said Mr. Flynn, who was also in a college fraternity. At the end of the day, he added, people like frat bros. And that's where the article ends. I work in the Midwest. Most of
Okay, unban the Ethan guy. Oh, Madam Panado alluded to further developments regarding Ethan. Any comment? Oh, maybe. I mean, like, Ethan Klein is just being sued by a billionaire for defamation, and he's losing that case.
Most of the
chat, we were dangerously close to a hype train. So if you enjoy the content, please consider supporting it by subscribing at tier 1, tier 2, or tier 3 sub. If you have Amazon Prime, you can attach that to your Twitch account. You get 1 free sub a month. That's your Twitch Prime sub. Steinhoys, thank you for 69 months in a row. Can we get some nices in the chat for 69 months in a row? Can we get some nices in the chat? And while you're typing nice, check and see if you have any bits. Check and see if you have any bits, chat. Donate at least 200 bits right now to participate. Do you have bits in your account that just sitting there and you forgot about? They've been in there for sit forever. Just give me your bits. Stop having Amazon hold your money. Throw your bits at my. You need at least 200 though, because I'm not giving you attention for like $1.
Workers are not fans of the coastal urban cities because of their more liberal social views, but they are pretty left.
I'm subbing because you took the day off. I did not take the day off. In fact, you know what I did, chat? You know what? Asmonfold, thank you for the 50 gifties. Thank you. You know what I did? I went to the DMV, chat. And I'm used to Pennsylvania DMV. Do you know what state has the best DMV in the entire country? Pennsylvania. Why is everybody else's DMV dog shit? I walk in, I walk out, bam. And by the way, when I'm like, oh, what do I need to do? It's not confusing. They're like, they have like they tell you oh, you're here for this. This is exactly what you need. This is exactly what you need to do. Bingo, bango, boom. You're in, you're out. California, it's like they're annoyed that don't know some sort of like bullshit special rule that they've invented for themselves. It's like, just do your fucking job. Incredible. Did they have 2 people working even though there are 18 booths? It was don't even get me started.
This either way, with their economic opinions, yeah. My point is, there isn't really anyone that actually authentically. There isn't really anyone that's actually authentically from, Ohio or whatever that then turns around and makes a podcast. Like, there are some people who.
Anyway, chat, please subscribe. I mean, aristocracy is one of the most evil people on the planet, so.
I think fit that prototype even better than others. Like, I'd say Shane Gillis and his background. Like, he's now super
Andor
famous.
Tonight. I'm going to be watching the Andor episodes tonight alone without you.
But I think the reason why he has like broad appeal is because he's just funny. Like, that's it. People only care about that. People care about your output. People care about your likability. People don't necessarily care whether or not you are really from, this background, really from this area or whatever, right? Hank Pecker is the only red-blooded American who's appealed to coal miners, brother. Yeah. I understand the bro framing, but speaking in terms of the cisgender white male that is a huge NFL fan and also a metalhead, the appeal from my perspective was not the culture you consume. No. I think that this scratches the surface of what I do, and I think it's the juxtaposition of like what I look like.
You better not watch Andor alone. I can see you grinning. Motherfucker, if you watch that episode alone again, I'm never feeding you again.
I'm turning down your microphone a little bit.
Why?
It was plastic a little bit. Chat, if Theo doesn't feed me, then I starve to death. This is called coercion.
Yes, learn. This is how you do it. Smarten up. I will teach you how to do coercion. Coercion? That's such a weird word. Coercion.
Yeah, well, Austrians know how to do it.
Austrians know how to do coercion?
Yes.
What's coercion in German? How do you spell coercion?
Kinderspiele.
Coercion is with 2 C's?
Mike, you look like a guy who knows how to make their own pizza rolls. Hell yeah, brother.
Oh, coercion is just Zwang?
I had a beer belly. Hell yeah, brother. What is the word in German?
Zwang.
Zwang?
Zwang.
Zwang?
Zwang.
Zwang?
Yeah. Like zwei, but it's Zwang.
So it's so integral to the German language that it is 1 letter off of 2.
Yeah.
Or 2 letters. I mean, it's a 4-letter word in Germany.
Zwang.
That's how often they're coercing people.
It's 5 letters.
Oh, you're right. It is 5 letters.
ZWANG.
Zwang. It literally translates to obligation.
Yeah.
Coercion equals obligation in German. Interesting.
This is true.
All right. Well, chat. I'm gonna watch Andor with Vio tonight, I guess. Not alone.
Ja, ich werde dich zwingen. Okay, bye.
Bye. That's Vio, chat. Vio figured out how to hijack my stream.
Opposed to what I say, right?
I've known how to hijack your stream. I just decided not to do it this far.
Oh, no.
Package in and of itself.
But then you say ridiculous shit like, I'm going to watch Andor alone and blah, blah, without anyone, and you force me. Du zwingst mich, es zu tun. Hate to see it. Okay, bye.
That plays a role in why I find success. I think one of the best parts of the article is the jock insurance thing, which is I've never thought about it like that. Like I never knew that that's what it was called, but it's something that I've talked about quite a bit, which is that it's something that I even bring up when I'm talking about like the Andrew Tates of the world, right? It's like people that look like me, people that talk like me. The expectation is I'm supposed to be this like MAGA right-wing guy. I'm supposed to have this machismo, and the only way to showcase my machismo and bravado is by constantly dunking on vulnerable populations to elevate my status, to elevate your status as a byproduct. Like
Thank you,
we're all
for the
higher than these losers, these people that just like are weird and gross and right, like people that are vulnerable. And I think that that's lame as. I think that that's weak as. So, but did they not mention your belief system or your socialism? That's kind of odd. No, they did in the beginning. You know, men are down bad when one leftist dude is on the New York Times front page.
I find people so weird. And this is specifically Bad and Panada. Bad and Panada was like, if Hassan got a glowing piece in the New York Times, that means that that he's not a threat to the system and that he's going to be. And it's like, no, it's just some guy wrote an article. And you know, liberals are talking about the online space, and the guy had an article and they published it. It doesn't mean like there isn't some sort of cabal in the New York Times that's thoroughly coordinating everything that goes in. They spam out so much garbage. They're pumping out so much content. I'm sure that, you know, if the people at the very top thought thoughtfully about this kind of thing, they might not do it. But that's not how the New York Times actually works. You're betraying a lack of understanding of these institutions. They're not as infallible or as well coordinated as you think. That's to our advantage, by the way. You have sympathetic people in the New York Times that are going to publish radical left-wing figures like Hassan. And by the way, if you don't think Hassan is radical, you're a baby. If you don't think I'm radical, you're a fucking child. Because the only thing that's more radical than me and Hassan is literally doing violence, illegal violence. You're not going to be to my left and also not be actively under, suppression of the state. I'm trying to hang on this side of the legal line. And if you read any actual theory, there's a value in legal Marxists and illegal Marxists. Now, if you're going to go out there and you're going to be doing crimes, now I think doing crimes is bad and against the rules and you should not do crimes. But I would at least understand your criticism. You know, if you were fresh off of a sabotage, incident, and you came in here and said, these cucks are just talking, we're out there doing, that would be one thing. But if you're like, you know, getting a permit, like that's the only criticism that actually makes sense. And no one knows, none of the people that are like trying to criticize us for existing are doing those things. They're just tweeting less successfully than we are. They're just streaming less successfully than we are. Now, Bada Padada, I think he's right about one thing, which is the American left is weak and pathetic. That's true. I agree with him. I'm trying to fix that. He's not. So we have a disagreement on that. I would like the left not to be weak and pathetic. He personally doesn't care. That's fine. How would you know? Because if people were doing successful sabotage operations, like, blowing up munitions factories or sinking arms shipments or, kidnapping or assassinating leaders or doing anything that, any kind of violence, we would see it. We would hear reports of it. We would know about it. If somebody was stealing millions of dollars away from, some banks, that stuff would get out there. We would know about it. It just doesn't, there is nothing happening on that front. So that's why at this point, I can't advocate for anything that I'm advocating now. I can't go out there and say, do X, Y, and Z thing because I'm too well known. I can't be a voice speaking about doing X, Y, and Z thing because I'll get banned and I'll get arrested and I'll get caught. So it's pointless for you to come to me or Hassan and expect us to advocate for things we're not allowed to advocate for. It's illegal for us to advocate for that kind of thing. So we're not going to do it. And there's a massive state security apparatus in this country. We have a Gestapo. We have the FBI. We have the NSA. We have God knows what internal security services that are probably not even acknowledged. Maybe they're having the Five Eyes spying on Americans. You don't know what the fuck is happening. So the idea of coming into, Hassan and us and mine, shitting on us because we're not doing what? Leading from the fucking front? There is no front. This is a pathetic fascist country. That's correct. And so, there's different functions for different people. I would love to be able to do a different function. But as far as I could tell, it doesn't exist. Apparently they did a joint Chinese-Vietnamese parade. To celebrate the reunification. Of North and South Vietnam. Bada Padada purity checks Noam Chomsky. It's kind of annoying sometimes, and Hassan introduced a lot of people to left-wing politics. Without him, and Bada Padada would never be as rich as he has gotten now. Of course. But here's the thing. I actually don't care that Bada Padada purity checks me. I don't care that he purity checks Hassan. I disagree. I think his point sucks and I disagree with it, but I don't care. I'm not offended. Purity check me. Purity check Hassan. Tell us that we're not doing enough. That's fine. I'm okay with that. Because the thing about Bada Padada, I mean, if he just became hyper-focused on doing nothing but purity testing, then I would be bored of him. The reason why I like Bada Padada is that he tries to make videos and idea-based content 99% of the time. And when he mostly points his ire at the people who deserve it, like Vosh or Destiny or Ethan Klein or various slop tubers, that's where most of his energy's at. But if he wants to criticize me or Bernie or AOC or fucking Hassan or whoever the hell's, I probably deserve it. And Bada Padada benefits greatly from the Hassan funnel. Absolutely. I just think that if you go to Bada Padada and the thing that you learn is that you need to spend your time criticizing Hassan, you are actually being a tumor. You're being useless. We're not above criticism. That being said, I don't think Hassan being in the New York Times means Hassan is bad. It just means that he's so popular that mainstream media has to acknowledge him. And the thing about Hassan is his takes are good. If he were changing his takes, if he was becoming different than he was as he gets this support, then he would have a point. What position has Hassan changed? He hasn't. So for me, I don't think the criticism fits. My biggest problem with Bad Empanada is his denial of the existence of the funnel. He just doesn't. His analysis on how these dynamics work is fundamentally wrong. I've talked to him before about it. I've talked to him about it before, where he's like, "Oh no, you know, Hassan showing support for me didn't actually get people to come to me because he doesn't know how to read the analytics correctly." He looks at analytics and he goes like, "Oh, it's when a streamer watches you, it's from direct clicks that are linked in their chat. That's how you measure their impact." And it's like, no. What happens is there's all sorts of organic connections that form in the algorithm where viewers of yours start clicking on their shit more because they recognize you from the stream. And it's a lot harder to measure than he actually understands, which is fine. Like he and I completely disagree. Like, when he got a big boost from Hassan initially talking about him, I was like, "Congrats, man. I saw you got a big boost." And he's like, "Oh, it wasn't from Hassan. It was from the algorithm." And I was like, "Bro, it's because Hassan watched you. You got that boost." And never mind. It's fine. It is what it is. It is what it is. He denies the existence of the funnel. It is what it is.
Yeah,
so he's a liar? No, I love Bad Empanada. I just disagree with his analysis.
I do dunk on vulnerable populations all the time.
He's just
gaming frogs.
confused.
That's true. New York Times somehow believes that one can authentically be working class, a la plaid shirts and cowboy boots, and most conservatives and libs use that aesthetic to appeal in a way that is entirely inauthentic. People aren't stupid. Exactly. It would not be real if I was like, you know, wearing work boots and running around like I'm actually... What is this? Meanwhile, Ethan's New York Times debut. What? Apparently, Ethan is not very happy about this. He is very upset that I got this article written, and he's been posting about it. He's been posting about it since like 6 a.m. our time, which I think is a crazy thing to do when you first wake up. Like, I first woke up and I posted about the article because, you know, it's the article that I was waiting for. I was waiting for it to come out. It's been a long time. The article took place a long ass time ago. It's odd for him to wake up and also post nonstop. Literally nobody says that except those paid by his publicist. As a recent 2 minutes ago on a multi-story Insta rant, his fluency between culture and ideology has led many to brand Piker or Joe Rogan to the left, and Mr. Rogan had a mop top and painted his nails. Literally nobody says that except those paid by his publicist. I don't have a publicist. My haters can't tell me you're not hot, bro. Jewelry and nail paint, this dude is different. Wow, 10 words you say, and they happen to pick the swastika one. So brave of him to disavow Nepo babies. Oh my God. How can people that are fans of this guy not think, dude, you're 40 years old, you have 3 kids, like it's Sunday. Just, you know, can't you
I love this shit,
you
dude.
save this for the show or something? Like, why are you doing this? How can people not recognize how obsessed this is? You mean the dudes that are known for hazing their friends to death and sexually assaulting drunk college girls? Doesn't everyone hate frat bros?
Ethan Klein is legitimately the least likable person I've ever seen. I think it's harder to be less like, I'm not saying I'm the most approachable or likable person in the world, but Ethan Klein absolutely is just a pathetic fucking loser. And he's stupid. He's really stupid. And what I mean by that is he just says what immediately pops into his head. This is like Destiny if he was 20 IQ points stupider. And Destiny, you know, he's at 110 at most. Okay? Like, legitimately. Guys, frat bros are like, they're hazing people to death and sexually assaulting drunk college girls. You think D is over 100? I think Destiny's over 100, but I also think that he's got a lot of other mental illnesses that make that a not very functional over 100.
He's like dunking on every aspect of the article. Very strange stuff, man. Like, I hope he gets better. Thanks for reading my review. He posted again and said, thanks for reading my review. Dude, oh my God. You don't think the New York Times is trying to make this seem like it's optics and not about issues? It's what they've been doing since election. Dems don't need to fix their policies. They just need a leftist Joe Rogan. And that's what I think this New York Times article was playing
New York
up.
Times hates leftists.
I think that they're trying to make sense of why someone like myself is why someone like myself has seen a lot of success in an otherwise right-wing dominated landscape. And and for them, it's like, it can't be the issues at all. It can't be the issues themselves. It can't be what I'm saying. So it must be like the aesthetic. And to be fair, the way I look does play a role in this, right? The way I look does play a role in this. The packaging certainly is a part of it. Yeah, he placed the laughing, crying emoji over, I guess, my statements about political correctness. He blocks commenters for what he sees as overt hate speech, but not for speaking critically when they challenge his views on topics like transgender rights or the war in Gaza. Yeah, he clipped the, I find anti-Semitism to be completely unacceptable, Mr. Piker said on a call in April. I find the conflation of anti-Semitism and anti-Zionism to be very dangerous. He's being especially unhinged because the last episode did very poorly on views because it was the first step in a while, not clickbaiting you or iDubbbz. As usual, he puts out the dog whistle on his Instagram stories. And then his rabid fan base starts a harassment campaign. Shame on you. Oh, he's report this trash puff piece to the New York Times editorial board.
Every article that is written about Hassan, they call it a trash puff piece. The meltdowns that Destiny has and Ethan has are just incredible. And by the way, chat, this is never going to end. I want you guys to understand, this is never going to end until Ethan Klein and his podcast slips below a certain level of profitability. This isn't going to end. So this is going to be a slow bleed out. All right. It's just going to be a slow bleed out. Holy fucking hell. This is amazing.
Thanks for posting first today. This is clearly pushed forward by a publicist working for Hassan to get ahead of any negative publicity. Dude, I don't think these guys understand.
They think you could just call. They think, wait. Do they think that you could just call the New York Times and have them put out a long form multi-thousand word article about you? Like, how fucking stupid can one person be?
Have you heard of the eye of the storm? It appears calm for a moment, but is actually a deadly trap. The calm before an even fiercer storm. The U.S. has stirred up a global tariff storm and deliberately targeted China, playing a 90-day pause game with other nations, forcing them to limit trade with China. This is just like the deadly trap of the eye of the storm. Bowing to a bully is like drinking poison to quench thirst. It only deepens the crisis. The U.S. once accused Japan of dumping semiconductors and crushed companies like Toshiba. Later, it forced Japan to sign the Plaza Accord, pushing the economy into decades of anemic growth. The U.S. also used long-arm jurisdiction as a weapon, breaking up France's industrial giant Alstom, robbing the country of a national champion. History has proven compromise won't earn you mercy. Kneeling only invites more bullying. China won't kneel down, because we know standing up for ourselves keeps the possibility of cooperation alive, while compromise snuffs it out. China won't back down, so the voices of the weak will be heard, bullying will be stopped, and justice will not disappear from the world. All bullies are just paper tigers. The U.S. does not represent the entire world.
American protectionism
trade makes up less than a fifth of the world's total.
We have the power to push back.
When the rest of the world stands together in solidarity, the U.S. is just a small, stranded boat. Imperialists are always arrogant. If they show a bit of reason, it's only because they're forced to do so. Make no mistake, the U.S. will keep flip-flopping and playing hardball. But China will stand firm. No matter how hard the wind blows, no matter how clouds rage. The darker the night, the brighter the stars shine. Someone has to step forward, torch in hand, to shatter the fog and illuminate the path ahead. When every nation stands tall, the world will break through the walls of hegemony. For China, for the world, we must rise and fight on.
The China posting is getting hilarious, man. This is from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of China. They just posted, "Never kneel down." These Dems just joined the GOP to advance David Perdue as ambassador to China. Booker, Coons, Duckworth, Gallego, Hassan, Kim, King, Klobuchar, Peters, Reed, Rosen, Shaheen, Slotkin, and Warner. There you have it.
Totally exonerated, no wrongdoing.
They're
Democrats
allowing
love
an
fascists.
email hate brigade on their sub, not linking directly, but I posted a tweet about it. I don't know if these guys understand that like this kind of stuff is very annoying to newspapers in general. You don't come across as like a normal person. And also, this is a direct brigade. Can you stop talking about him? Dude, are you stupid? Are you actually that stupid that you don't understand what I'm showing here is not just like me doing drama? Like, what are you talking about? This is a direct brigade. Like, this is also literally by Reddit standards not allowed. Like, this is, you're harassing a journalist and you're trying to get a journalist fired for writing a profile on someone you don't like. This is literally Gamergate. This is what Gamergaters were doing for years and years. It's so insane because like every content creator has a decent amount of stalkers, right? But most content creators don't have a stalker that basically makes content off of them stalking, like everything that I do. I like you aren't downplaying the positive side of their obsession aesthetic and rapping aside. There's a real benefit to you being given publicity. Negativity be damned. Yeah, because I don't want people to get fired for, I mean, it's not going to happen anyway, but I don't want people to have to deal with like annoying calls and like that. Like, it's so stupid. It's so lame. It doesn't play the role they think. I really hate how the DNC was even has even independence as far as the majority report talking about messaging when it's a completely vapid party and makes the program very close to his doom. Yeah. No wonder Ethan was so shocked. We are not a Hassan snark. Over 150 posts in the last 7 days filled with such bangers as Hassan is jealous of Ethan. I can't stop imagining Hassan bringing someone back to his place for the first time.
What? I can't stop imagining Hassan bringing someone back to their house? The sexual obsession of the Ethan Klein subreddit is so fucking uncomfortable and so fucking weird. It legitimately bothers me.
Note the Hassan post of the most engagement. Yeah, they use the subreddit like I mean, it's a snark subreddit for sure. This is not the first time that these guys have done this. Anytime any journalist has ever written anything about me, they have to basically go private for like a week. It's so gross, man. It's crazy because like none of these other, I wish that like other content creators that are in this space would at least pay a little bit of attention.
So apparently they're trying to attack Creator Clash. That's what they're trying to do. Did Lena, that's her name, right? Did she back out yet? Or is she still doing it? Why is this comment about Frogan creating a 9/11 cake to destroy it not the main thing to hate her for? Bro, you're in H3 subreddit. They've literally made fun of 9/11 a million fucking times. And veterans. This has got to be a Destiny fan. This has got to be another Destiny fan. How of course. Like, I don't believe it. When did this guy start his account? 10 years ago? Okay, we gotta find more. H3 production obsession. He posts there constantly. I'm very curious. Okay, they're British. Why does Discord not work on my Xbox One? Okay, this is a little bit creepy. They deleted their Epstein posts since they got called out. Good luck finding one that hasn't removed them. I mean, yeah, no, it's true. Most of them do delete their Destiny posts, which is fucking awesome. Which means they're not interacting with Destiny anymore, which means his fucking audience is falling off. By exposing them as being Destiny posters, we're hurting Destiny. We're allowing Ethan to basically steal all his audience. They're kind of like abandoning Destiny because being associated with Destiny is kind of embarrassing. So now Ethan Klein is actually siphoning off of Destiny, which is incredible, which is awesome. Hassan. How many Hassan posts do you think? Hassan. Oh my God. Oh my God. The fact that Ethan is immediately reacting to the iDubbbz video just shows he has nothing to hide. Hassan platforms someone who wants to murder Gila. Denims push the false CPS claim. Noah Sampson called for violence against Ethan. And Ian thinks it's funny. Literally none of those things happened. Oh my God, dude. As far as I can tell, H3 audience is now largely overlap with Sam Hyde viewers. You really need to write that article about the obsessions. Oh no, it's definitely true. I've seen that a lot more lately. I've seen that that Destiny and Ethan's fan base have combined quite a bit with Sam Hyde's. Dalaban and Epstein sub, you scrolled past it. Oh, did I? I got uncomfortable because I didn't want to dox the guy. What is it called? Dalaban, or whatever it is. I don't know how to spell it. Destiny. Ethan didn't even ask iDubbbz to defend him politically, just personally. Man, it always sucks that Destiny is such an irredeemable piece of shit. When he's right, he nails it. This is a Destiny fan. This is Destiny. Destiny destruction to satiate the bloodthirst while waiting for Hassan's demise. Exemplary. In Dalaban, it's interesting to see the contract between Reddit DGGers and Twitter stream chat DGGers. The former seem to be mostly sane, while I've seen arguments from the latter which sound like they came from an Andrew Tate fan, which was at that point, why not just go full red pill? I really hope H3 denounces Destiny in his content nuke. I figured he may have delayed it so as not to distract from Destiny getting deservedly shit on by everyone. I've been told he claimed Destiny's soul, much like he did to Vosh, so Hassan fans have nothing to point to. Like, every single one of these freaks are just, like, it is what it is. Like, can you imagine being that person? Just for a second, imagine being that person. Imagine being that person. Whatever you're going through right now, whatever struggles you're going through right now, you could be a Destiny fan pretending to be an Ethan Klein fan so you can stalk Hassan and me. Like, think about how, of all the things you could be on this planet, you have one life to live. It's one thing if you disagree with me on politics. You're wrong, but whatever. You know, people are free to disagree. If you're out there living your life, but you're sitting on the H3 subreddit pretending not to be a Destiny fan so you could post hate about Hassan. Legitimately, just, you know what you need to do. Your mom probably has told you to do it. You know what you need to do. Just do it. Just do it, man. Just do it. Get a job. What did you think I meant?
Into this and be like, all right, man.
Get out of your house, man.
This is gotten
just walk around the block.
Every hater, when he talks about you and to respond, oh my God, can you move on? Reddit is where the niche issues get resolved and where decency goes to die afterwards. Other content creators don't have mainstream news asking for their political opinions. No, I know, but like this is very clearly a major issue, right? On its own, regardless, like this is an extended year-long crash out that has turned into like constant brigading, doxing campaigns,
pathetic,
frivolous
man.
litigation to
Can you imagine, like, imagine being a Vosh fan or a Destiny fan or an H3 fan? It's crazy, dude. It's fucking crazy. Holy shit.
private information to bully them, to harass them, going after Redditors, going after journalists. It's so weird. It's so strange that it's just like something that we all have to put up with. Other content creators themselves see this kind of thing and go, ugh, I don't want to say anything because I don't want to incur the wrath of Ethan's foot soldiers. And I feel like that's such a strange, there's just a strange place to exist in where everyone is like, yeah, this stuff is weird and gross, but you know, a lot of people are just like genuinely worried that he will come after them. This is something that happened with Adam Ross as well initially. You know, why are you shocked? They did the same with D for 5 years. I know they are still first world problems though. No, I mean, yeah, that's true, but we are in the first world, you know. I'm trying to put the truth out in the space where people may see it in my free time, but the Diddy G&E community is legion. It's tough to break through. Yeah, just remember, it's mostly online. Even though the more we spend time online, the more the shit that we do online becomes the reality. New York Times article title change. What did they change it to? Nobody liked the article title initially, so I'm not surprised. A progressive, oh my God, they literally changed it to what I just said. A progressive mind and a body made for the manosphere. That's cool. Anyway, I think it was a good article. Obviously, Jack's the man, by the way. He was dope. He was great. And I hope that he doesn't get a lot of harassment, you know?
All right, chat. That's going to be it for me today. Thanks for hanging out. I should have just waited till I didn't realize it was so late. Everybody, please go and laugh at Ethan Klein for being the only citation he ever has in the New York Times is that he's sexually explicit in front of children. Go ahead and like that. That's my main call to action. promoting that. It's very funny. Oh shit, I fucked up the links. Here's all my links. Make sure you follow all the things. I've been posting TikToks, I've been posting shorts, all that good stuff. Thank you everybody for all your support. You guys are the best. We'll be back tomorrow, normal time, normal stream. We're gonna raise the quality of the content every single day. You're welcome. I felt like a little off my game today. I was just in a bad mood. I was in a bad mood today, so sorry about that, chat. Especially my Canadian chatters. I just want to blanket apologize for being in such a bad mood. I'm just so, you know what it is, chat? I'm just so tired of people promoting like these radical neoliberal freaks as like something to be happy about. And it's just like, this guy's so bad. He's so bad for the country, so bad for the world. And it just disgusts me to see people on the left pretending like it's good. Like, please, you know, I'm not saying never pretend anything's good, but Jesus Christ. I don't hate Canada. I actually like Canada quite a bit. But yeah. Anyway, any chance of watching the Louis Theroux documentary on movie night? Yes. Yes. We will definitely watch The Settlers. I want to watch that documentary for sure. All right, everybody, stay safe out there. Solidarity forever. We'll have better mood tomorrow. I hope you're hanging in there. Solidarity forever, my friends. Free Palestine, and we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you tomorrow. We'll feel better. I'll see you all soon. Peace out. Sending you over to VO, and from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Not 1 inch subjugated. Peace out.